Dan, I love that setup, man. Glad you're joining us for
Yeah,
episode 224. I like this one because it's 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's one of the things
sure.
that my son would point out to me. He'd be like, "Dad, look at that number," and he would point that out. So
There you
I
go.
share that with you all
I like it.
in honor of Father's Day. I am here with Dan and Dan. Happy Father's Day to both of you. Dan Phillips for your actual daughter, and
Sure.
Daniel Freitas for
Thank you.
every video game that you play, you become its father because you
That's true.
destroy every game that you play.
Because
Is
I
that
own it. I make it. I make it my child, and
yeah,
I look at it disappointingly, and I'm like, why aren't you better? Like, why
yeah,
aren't
that's
you
what you
better?
did to Elden Ring the year that it was
Yeah.
clearly the best game of the year, and you were like, no, Father says
Well, I
no.
don't know about that, but sure. Yeah.
It's
Whatever.
obviously the best game of 2022, but that's fine. It's fine, guys.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not bitter about it. I've let it go.
Yeah,
Obviously.
totally.
Yeah. I mean, it was clearly so good that they need to add more content to it to make it better.
Hey,
So
look, this right here. There she is. There's Melania. There's the
it's true.
the most ridiculous optional boss that I've ever
The
played against.
easiest boss in any video game ever.
That
So
is so not true. That is not true.
I
That is not true. By the way, you play against her on New Game Plus, and she's got like double the hit points and hits way harder.
oh
It took
god,
me so long, but I did finally beat her. But
that sounds exhausting.
nice.
it
Good job.
was exhausting. And I was playing it with no ashes to come out.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
balls. That's a ballsy move.
Yeah,
And that's just a personal choice, just
that was
a personal
absolutely
challenge.
like there was no. I got no special reward afterwards
Yep.
for not using an ash. Like no
Right.
one watching me. My wife didn't come over and say I still love you after that. Like
Yeah, it
fine,
it was
that
just
stuff makes
something.
sense.
Yeah, and I kind of understand that. First time I played Bloodborne, I wanted to play it with no summons, and
Mm.
Mm.
for whatever reason, I was just dead set on doing it on my own. But
Wait a minute. There's summons in Bloodborne. Oh, you mean
Yes.
for other players?
yeah, summoning other people to help you.
I never did that either.
Me
You know
neither.
what? If I had known it, I probably would have done it though. So that was more
Oh
of an
yeah.
accident than me trying to be cool.
No, I actually in New Game Plus as the first time I actually did any co-op in Bloodborne. So I knew it was an option, but I was dead set to. It was my first Souls game, so I was dead set to do it on my own.
Yeah. By the way, I hear that the FromSoft boss, or at least the director of Bloodborne, keeps addressing all these requests about Bloodborne coming to
Mm.
PC and keeps saying things like,
hmm
"Hey, I want as many people to play it as
Yeah, he
possible."
wants it as
too."
much as everyone else. It sounds like.
Yeah. So then I'm like, dude, can you just push the button, push the Bloodborne to PC
Yeah, it's
button?
that easy. Boop.
Well,
PC.
the thing that it sounds like is they don't own the IP. They're not the ones that have that decision power. It sounds
Well,
like
that's
it's
Bloodborne, right? But what
Yeah,
about
it's
all the other
solely-
ones?
no, it's just Bloodborne. It sounds like it's solely in Sony's
Okay.
hands. If
Yeah,
they
all the
want-
other ones are on PC, aren't they? We got
Yeah.
Sekiro on
Oh,
PC,
okay.
we got
Okay.
Dark Souls
everything
on
else is
PC.
on PC, so it sounds like it's totally just in Sony's hands at this point.
Sony, you jerks.
Like, just put it on PC and be done with it. Like that. I mean, they don't need to do anything else. I don't know why.
we need a trump
Oh,
card
sounds
for
like-
like when Sony. What we need is like, so when Sony one of these days pulls a Microsoft and just lays off a bunch of people for absolutely no reason, then we can be like, here you go, guys. Here's some Bloodborne on PC.
And
Yes.
they'll put out a PS5 like remastered version and PC.
Yeah,
version,
yeah.
just to
And
distract
everybody
you.
will cheer. You know.
I mean,
Just
at,
like-
at some point they'll do it. So whatever
Xbox
bloodshed
does.
has to happen I'll be okay with it.
Whatever
Yeah, that's
bloodshed.
true. They might
for
be
Bloodborne.
Yeah.
waiting for that, right? They might be waiting for that moment when they have to
Mhm, mhm.
slice off
Uh,
the company.
Yep,
But hey,
yep.
Xbox did that. They distracted us with all kinds of shiny games this past.
yeah,
year.
you
Like,
know,
Yeah.
don't think about those layoffs and studio closures.
all that bad
Look at
shit.
the
Just here's a carrot.
games, look at our games.
Yeah.
Kind of worked, let's be honest. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about. There's a few new things out this week. I at least want to mention them because they're noteworthy. As far as I'm aware, they're all either remasters or re-releases or collections, but they're worth noting. I don't know of any notable actual new games this week, and I did look. I mean, there's lots of small little indie stuff that
Hmm.
always releases on Steam and on the eShop. There's just absolute garbage that gets released on there, but I can't think of any even notable indie games that came out on Steam or anything. So I'm not super aware of any, but I will say this. Steam's Next Fest, I forget when it ends. I should look that up. But they have Next Fest happening right now, and there are hundreds of demos, and it's awesome. There's so many. So I highly recommend everyone checking that out. Especially if you've got stuff on a wish list on Steam, look
Mhm.
through there. You can filter it by wish list games with demos. So I've been able to play a bunch that I had my eye on, and I actually got to get some hands-on time with those, and I'm hoping to do some more of that. So that's happening. As far as new game releases, we've got Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, or is it V or 5? Right? I assume it's 5.
Maybe
right?
5. Yeah, it's 5.
Um,
V for Vengeance.
V for Vengeance,
that
everybody.
could be a thing. Yeah,
Yep.
that could be a thing.
So our buddy Kyle, who wasn't able to make the recording tonight, he's been playing this, and he says it's awful. So, isn't that what he said, Dan? I think.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he said it's the worst video game in existence.
Yeah, I'm just listen. This isn't my words. This is Kyle. So you guys are mad.
Yeah.
Go to Kyle. This is not me. I think it's great, but Kyle hates it. I'm just kidding. Kyle loves it. He said it's the effing best, and he really loves it and really wanted to talk about it. So I'm sure we'll talk about it next week when he is, or whenever he's able to rejoin us. Jeff is still playing no video games because he's out pursuing his rockstar career. And by the way, doing annoyingly well. Like, come on, Jeff, stop having success. What is
like, what's your problem? Stop being like talented and like just showboating, you know, how good you are at guitaring and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Be more like me. Have a guitar, but don't actually have any success with it.
Right. Yeah.
Don't do it. Yeah. Don't do anything publicly.
Don't do anything. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, keep it to yourself. Keep all that skill and wonderful sound to yourself. No, for real though, Jeff is awesome, and you should go check out his music. But he's been also like a big part of his experience in the last couple of months has been playing and supporting and joining other musicians in the area. So it's really cool. He's been able to team up with some other bands and groups and
nice
and artists over there. Okay, Monster Hunter Stories. I think both 1 and 2 were released on PC, maybe other consoles. I know they were re-released. So yeah, Monster Hunter Stories are. They're just like little turn-based RPGs where you.
I've been curious about these because they looked like they look cool. I like the look of them. Like they're a little more cartoony, obviously, than the traditional Monster Hunter games, but
more like Saturday morning anime style.
I love it. I love that stuff.
Yeah. It's very nice looking. They're pretty fun to play. They're pretty straightforward. They're not like you're not going to play it and go, oh, they really have changed the genre of turn-based RPGs. Like you get it. You know what they're trying to do, but it is fun. And I do know there's some monster catching, of course, mechanics. It's not the same as Monster Hunter. It's different. You actually can team up with them in this and ride them around. But yes, you're also fighting against them. But it's just different. It's a different take on the series. So go check those out. Also, this was a surprise to me, at least. I didn't know that Square was releasing Kingdom Hearts 1 through 3 on Steam.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. So here I thought the only way to play them portably was on the Switch Cloud, which I still... Why? Why don't they?
I mean, hey,
why aren't they
now
native?
We got the deck, you know?
And now you can play them on the Steam Deck. So there you go.
Yep.
So the definitive portable, experience.
So were they not on Steam? Like I just recently saw them there. I thought they had always been there, but
yeah, I guess not. I didn't
because it was like the 1.5, 2.5. Like wasn't it like those updated versions?
Just PS5 and 3 or Xbox.
Okay.
Dan, give us the titles of all these because those are fun. What are the titles?
All right, hold on. Do you want me to every single Kingdom Hearts game? Or?
Yeah, what are the titles?
I got places to be. We don't need to do this.
I got no. Hold on, we're doing this because this, it's good stuff.
It's not just Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3. I would love to tell you that's what they're called.
Right? That'd be really easy.
All right, so hold on. Let's go to the Wikipedia. So there's Kingdom Hearts. There's Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which was the Game Boy Advance game, and then they did a PS2 one. Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts Coded, which was a mobile game. Like on a phone, like flip phones, I think even like it's that far back. This one's one of my favorites. Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. That's a good.
This is where they just were smoking so much before they.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Oh my god.
Then we went back as a prequel, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which is like one of the top ones in the series.
What does that even mean? Okay, keep going.
Birth by Sleep. You are.
No, don't explain it.
Don't talk yourself through this one. Just let it go.
Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, which was where I actually, when I was replaying them, finally was like, all right, what the F is going on? Like this is too much.
Yeah,
I don't understand. Then there's Kingdom Hearts Key, which I think was like one of that was the like, newer like mobile and then that's gone through different iterations.
That makes a little more sense with the Keyblade at least.
Yeah. But it's like an X. It's like an X, but like it's like not a traditional X. So I don't really know.
Never mind. I take it back. It's not cool.
And then there's like different iterations of that because it went through different like things. Then Kingdom Hearts 3 proper, Kingdom Hearts 3 plus Remind, right? To remind you that Kingdom Hearts 3 took like 10 years to come out. And then Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, because you needed the game to, bring your memories back into your mind of all of these games, because there's so many games and so much nonsense happening. And yeah, so that's pretty much, I think that covers everything. So,
believe it or not, folks, it's 3 mainline games.
I played 1, 2, and 3. I have no clue what happened or
but here's the thing,
anything that you just said. So that's all
you're saying mainline because they're the numbered ones, but every single Kingdom Hearts game is important. Every single one.
Yeah, and I think
you're missing
that's the
something
problem.
if you don't play it. Yeah. So yeah.
I miss things when I do play them. So
right.
Yeah. I remember even before 3 came out, because I did play 3 start to finish, and I did really enjoy it. It was a fun game. But I don't know what happened, and I did even after watching the recap video. I think it was like an hour and a half or something recap video. I was like,
right?
What?
Huh?
Couldn't they just say power of friendship and then move on? Like, what is
That's an element. Yeah, that's an element, Tim. That's one element of it. Yeah.
That would have been.
It's literally Charlie Day smoking a cigarette, making that like conspiracy board. Yeah, that's the storyline for Kingdom Hearts.
You know what storyline makes more sense and had more loose ends tied up was Lost, and that was a pretty rough one. So, I'm not saying it didn't end fun. Like, it had cool stuff at the end, but it still left a lot going. Like, okay, all right. Anyway, there you go. Kingdom Hearts 1 through 3. You can now play that on Steam. By the way, I'm mostly kidding. Those are really cool, colorful, interesting, creative games. Like, they really are. Mm-hmm. They're not like my personal favorite, but I totally understand the love that people have for them. It's beloved franchises all kind of thrown into a pot, mixed together. It's cool.
It's fun.
I do admire Nomura's tenacity in just creating another game and somehow adding more bonkers nonsense. Somehow making it in some way, shape, or form make sense and connected. Like, let's just add more nonsense. Just keep doing it. The next one, do it more, and it just, I don't know. There's something admirable about that. No, Dan? No?
The games are fun. All the mashup of characters is great, but that story.
I hear you. There's a story? I don't know if there's a story.
I don't know. It's fun. Like, it's fun. Like, yep.
Yeah. Donald Duck can cast magic. I'm in. Like, I'll play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To do something.
Yeah. He still doesn't wear pants, though, folks. So it's rated M for mature.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the wrap up of the not E3 stuff. Specifically, there are 2 things I wanted to highlight, but there might be other things. But I want to talk about the Ubisoft Forward. So I'll go through the announcements there and get your guys' thoughts on those if you were able to see some or all of that. And then also the Dragon Age Veilguard gameplay revealed. And I got to tell you, I'm not even a Dragon Age fan, but thank God they showed gameplay, because that trailer was one of the worst trailers just in terms of selling people on the vibe of
initial trailer. You mean?
I mean, the what?
Initial trailer.
Right, the trailer from Sunday.
Yeah.
That they showed was awful. That's just my opinion. Sorry, if you loved it, that's great. I thought the trailer was awful. Then they went into some gameplay a couple days later, and I was like, okay, thank God they did this, because this is way better. So anyway, we'll talk about that too. But let's first talk about the Ubisoft Forward, which was on Monday. It was kind of the main wrap up show as far as like showcases go for this lengthy, we keep calling it the not E3 weekend. We should just call it the Summer Game Fest weekend. That's what Jeff Keighley wants us to say, but he's not paying us, so we're gonna call it not E3. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff shown here. I think Ubisoft can have those years where I'm like, did they just show Just Dance and that was it? Is that all we like? There are years when I don't feel much from what they show. I thought this year there was some pretty cool stuff that we can dive into here a little bit. The first thing they showed, and I think there's mixed thoughts on this, and I don't know why, is the new Star Wars Outlaws gameplay. They showed a lot more. We've seen a lot of this game, by the way. They've shown a lot of this game over the last several months, and still scheduled for August 30th. So we're just a couple of months away from this thing. It's an open world game. It's Ubisoft. There's going to be some kind of map opening up feature, right? You're gonna have to go somewhere to activate something to open up more of the map, I assume.
That might be one of the reasons why people are skeptical, but
maybe could be. Also could be the female character with 70s haircut, but I'm like, Okay, but that's Star Wars. That's the original trilogy setting. That's just what people picture.
Did we have a problem with Sigourney Weaver and Alien having that? So
she has a very strong Sigourney Weaver vibe. Now that you're saying that,
yeah,
I dig it.
No, she kind of does.
Yeah,
people still say she's a badass in those movies. So why is that okay, but this isn't? You know?
I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like people just want to be mad.
Yeah.
Dude, this is what I've been saying the last couple episodes. I think there's like a freaking disease on social media that it almost feels like it's gotten worse. It's always been there, right? Yeah. People have always done that stuff, but
it's true.
It's just gotten worse.
Dan Phillips, what are your thoughts on Ubisoft games? You've played at least a few of them, right? Do you like them generally speaking?
Yeah, no, like generally speaking, I'm usually a pretty big fan of Ubisoft games. So most franchise, I mean, there are definitely a lot of like comparison similarities to like a lot of their franchises, and I'm generally okay with it. Their open world formula, I mean, pretty standard and you know, they don't change it up a lot, but generally I enjoy it. So when I look to this The Division 2, honestly I really love that game, and the cooperative part of it you know, worked really good, where I was still able to play 90% of the game by myself.
Same here.
So you know, I liked with what they were able to do with that, and it's the same.
This is the same team as Division, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I forget what they're called, but
I want to say Massive. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think so. So they're the same team that's developing this. So honestly, that was like one of my favorite like interactive open worlds. I think this just looks like maybe a more, you know, cohesive experience, a larger open world, where the Division kind of got broken up a little bit into smaller chunks, it felt like. So I'm generally excited for it. I feel like they're nailing the original trilogy vibes, tones. It's everything I want in a Star Wars smuggler game, and like, yeah, I'm pretty happy with the people that are making it. So really, with what they showed on Monday, I mean, I'm all in. I've seen enough. I'm ready to hit that pre-order button.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm trying to pre-order less.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm ready to do it, but I'll buy it like a couple days before it comes out,
this one
so
I
can
might
download it.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought this looked really fun. I already thought it looked fun in the original reveal. Exploring, stealthing around, third-person shooting, smuggler type gameplay. I think all of us have kind of wanted something like this. But don't get me wrong, we all love being a Jedi. We love being super powerful, the Jedi Outcast, and you know, the Jedi Survivor game. Those are awesome. I absolutely love those. But this is a huge part of the Star Wars universe and experience. Is the underworld and being, you know, a smuggler and kind of flirting with the line of good versus evil, and you're kind of a little schemy, but also you're good at heart, kind of Han Solo type. I don't know. I think that's a big part of the Star Wars lore and experience. So
I mean, it's literally what Han Solo does, right? So
that's Han Solo.
Yeah, exactly.
And that to me has always added that an element of humanity that grounds those movies and stories, is you've got this character who is inherently selfish but also a good person, and is always struggling in that tension. I think that's fun. I think that makes characters more interesting. So anyway, this feels more like that, where you are a smuggler type of a character, a pistolier. Who knows exactly what your if you have a title or something. But yeah, this looks like a ton of fun. I'm also at the point, it's 2 months out, where I actually didn't watch all of the deep dive gameplay. I ended up purposefully like, all right, I'm going to skip ahead or just stop it because I don't want to see too much more. I'm good. Like I'm going to play it and I just want to experience it. I don't need them to keep showing it to me.
I definitely feel like they've shown enough at this point.
Yeah, because how much gameplay have we gotten? Because I know there was that very first gameplay slice that they gave us, and then has there been stuff in between? Because this is only the second time I've seen gameplay.
Yeah, I feel like they did a few different features, but it's been a while, so now my mind's going blank a little bit. I want to say there was a reveal trailer and then a real deep dive into the gameplay after they
because I feel like this is like the third time we've seen it pretty extensively.
Okay. Yeah, because that first time there was like
there was like a story trailer and then a gameplay trailer, and then I think there was this. So
So yeah, there's lots. I mean, it looks like there's gonna be lots to do in that game. I'm very excited for it. I love that timing. Last year we had a game at the same time that was perfect, and that was Starfield. It was the only game in that window that I really cared about, and I had a full month to just play Starfield, and I loved it. So this is Again,
so not to be party pooper on Starfield there, but I think this is the better approach to when you do these kind of games. Like this seems like it's a more concentrated experience.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
As far as like, there isn't going to be 1,000 planets in this game, I'm guessing.
Right. No.
So there's kind of it's gonna be a little more dense, you know what I mean? So like less planets to like worry about and more kind of going on each planet. And I think that was like one of the major complaints of Starfield, right? It's just
that's a legit criticism of that game. Like going into some of those caves, I was like, all right, I've seen this 10 times already. Like this is just procedurally generated, samey. But there was enough of that game that wasn't that was wonderfully designed and created that I loved. I also kind of knew it. Like I knew it was going to have a flavor of No Man's Sky, which I also really like that game. Yeah, so I was okay with that with Starfield.
Just the exploring part. Like some people just don't want to do that. The people that don't want to just wander off in a direction in space and just be like not doing much. And like I don't know, man. Like as a kid, it's like. You think about like, oh man, in the future, I wonder if there'll be video games where I can just explore. It's like, well, we're here. So
yeah, we're here. By the way, I still think that's one of the best feelings in No Man's Sky where you literally just point your ship at any planet.
Oh, yeah.
If you have the fuel, you just go to that planet, you scan it. No one's been there before. No one. And you get to like name it and scan all the creatures and plants. And like, I know that sounds super nerdy and stupid. It's really fun. Like there's something about that's super satisfying.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, totally.
But hey, this is a video game podcast. Everything we talk about is nerdy, so
it's true.
Deal with it. Anyway, this does look really cool. Looked like there is some cool space combat. I liked seeing that.
Yeah,
she just got in her ship, flew out into space, and started shooting some idiots.
Yeah, it didn't look bad,
right? Like the way she can kind of like turn the ship real quick. It looks a little more arcadey, a little easier to
So I'm hoping so.
Yeah. I hope so too. I want arcadey. I want auto lock on. I want the
I just want it to be fun, like fill those gaps in between going to planets and doing all this cool exploration and missions.
Yep. I don't really want a space sim. Like I want Star Wars. It has that fantasy space vibe, and that's what I want it to do.
Yeah.
All right. So that was really cool. I loved the deep dive into that. If we weren't sold already, that should have done the trick for most people, unless you were determined to already dislike it, and that's fine if that's your thing.
People do that.
Yeah, if that's your hobby, then yeah, that's great. Good way to spend your time. It was funny before the not E3 weekend. One of the predictions I made was that Ubisoft would resurface Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Dan, I don't know if you remember I said that.
Yeah,
it's like the only thing that I can remember that I got right out of all my predictions.
Well, there you go.
Hey, there might have been
you did get it right.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
I did get this one. But what's funny to me is not only did they reintroduce it with a very simplistic short teaser with just a voiceover and like a candle, but also it just said 2026. I was like, man, they really went back to the drawing board on that.
I must almost like skip past that part, not even noticing. I think I was skimming through to see Assassins and Star Wars. I must have missed that. 2026
2026 and basically they just brought it up so reassure you it's not dead, but obviously they completely started over on it.
Almost certainly.
Here's a question for you guys. All right, what are we getting first, that or Beyond Good and Evil 2?
Definitely Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia. Yeah.
Are we though?
Beyond Good and Evil 2 I don't think exists anymore. I really don't.
Yeah,
I don't know, guys.
I think Beyond Good and Evil 2 is going to be what I'm playing when I'm a great grandparent.
I think it's like a Half-Life 3 thing. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Listen, I believe.
We saw it was there for a minute, but I don't think it ever comes back.
I think we'll get a new Splinter Cell game before that. Like I think there's other things that are going to happen before that.
That's some big dreams, Tim. That's some big dreams.
I keep saying I'm going to keep putting out there in the universe till they bring back Splinter Cell because come on.
Hey, well, they're remastering the first one, aren't they? I mean, I think they've said that much. So
did they officially say that? Oh, that's
great. Like that's actually happening. The first one's getting remastered.
Yeah, the last two.
It's not a new one, but like it's a new game. So
that's good. Yeah, because Conviction and Blacklist specifically were just so excellent. They really streamlined it and upgraded it, and those were so good. Love those.
And they were so long ago. I can't believe that franchise has done nothing in 15 years.
I think Blacklist was, I think it was almost 15 years ago.
It's been a long time. Somewhere between 10 and 15 years.
Too long.
It's been a while.
That's crazy.
A couple of the smaller announcements they made before we talk about Assassin's Creed, so we'll pause on Assassin's Creed for a bit. They did announce a new Anno game. If you like city builders and strategy games, which I love, and their Anno series is awesome, they announced this one called 117 Pax Romana. So the idea is that it's taking place during the ancient Roman Empire. This series is really cool. I remember playing a lot of I played the future one. I think it was called like, I forget what it was. It was 2000 something.
49 or something.
Yeah, it was some future year. And then I played a couple of the older ones, like I want to say 1600, maybe 1800. I played a few of the older ones. They're really fun. It works on a nice, clean like grid system of building your roads and your cities and upgrading them and building up your armies. And but it's mostly city building. It's not really like a command and conquer style game, although you can do some combat. It's mostly focused on like running a city and making it prosperous and finding new resources and expanding to new islands. I remember playing one on the Wii. Yes, that's right, the Wii. It was called Dawn of Discovery. It was a spin-off of this series.
Interesting.
And you actually use the Wiimote very much like a mouse. So I remember I had my son and he was kind of like sleeping in my one arm and I just had the one Wiimote and I was like building my city on the screen with the Wiimote.
Nice.
It's fun, man. I love that game.
Dude, it's like SimCity, it's just building the city up and
totally don't even didn't even know it exists. So
yep, great series, really cool series. And they also do a lot of Ubisoft really has they seem to have a passion for like teaching, like educating, like for all the negatives about Ubisoft. And I know there's a lot of negative about Ubisoft, I get it. One of their positives is they love the historical Assassin's Creed experiences where you can go in and just explore the cities, right? You can do that.
Yeah, it's like an interactive museum, basically, is what they do with those games. They did it with Origins, Valheim. I mean, they build these big, historic open worlds and then make a museum experience attached to it. So cool.
I think we can expect that with the Japanese one too that we'll talk about.
Oh, absolutely. I think so.
Which that might be the first one I actually spent some time in because I'm fascinated by that history, that time period of Japanese history. So anyway, okay, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, still one of my favorite games so far this year. It's an amazing game, but it's getting official DLC coming out soon, which I'm glad to hear. I'm glad it's getting more support because I know that the sales numbers weren't exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
I know that it was underperforming, but I think the positive word of mouth. I could be wrong. I feel like the positive word of mouth has really helped propel it to not be such a bomb sales wise. I think it's had some steady success, even though it's not a hit. But anyway, there's a free content update that's coming out, and then there's story DLC called Mask of Darkness that's going to come out in September. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yep. And then there is DLC, big story DLC for Avatar coming out called The Skybreaker. Which, listen, Avatar is one of those games that I played when it came out. I admit that I was very impressed by the visuals. I really was. It's very pretty. The gameplay was fine. Like, I'm talking about like a mid Far Cry experience, not even a really good one. It was fine. Somewhere between fine and good. I don't want to make it sound like it was bad, but certainly not super memorable. Not enough to make me go back to it. Too many other good games that I wanted to go back and play.
It is a property that we love here on Car Entrance.
Yes, we do.
We've expressed that.
Listen, I don't have the same negative feelings towards the Avatar movies as our buddies Kyle and Jeff do. Dan, I know you like the Parks and Rec joke.
I haven't even seen I always, that's always.
I actually think those movies are decent, shallow popcorn fun. I have no problem with those movies. I think they're fun. Are they amazing? Do I think about them all the time? No. Like some people like tattooed themselves blue and want to live in Pandora and that's fine.
I mean, the technology behind it is amazing. Like that CG is crazy, but
beautiful. But are they great movies? Are they super, super original? Not really, but I still enjoy them. I don't know.
Yeah, they're still gonna be fun.
Yeah. I have no problem, especially when you watch them with like kids, like especially like young teenagers who aren't so cynical yet and aren't so jaded about the world and hate everything yet.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. They will be, but for right now, they're still in. Like we watched, Kong versus Godzilla, these super cheesy movies that they're pretty much dude bros like fist bumping as they go to fight together. You know what I mean? Like it's so cheesy, but my kids love it, and it makes me like it more because they think it's funny, and it's like watching someone play with figurines, basically.
Honestly, as adults, we could learn from them. because
I agree.
There's just too much negativity out in the world. So.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I don't have any special feeling of love or hatred towards Avatar. I'm somewhere between average, mixed and like more positive towards it. But the game itself, if you had fun with it, that's great. To me, it's no better than like Far Cry Primal, which I loved that game a lot. But I recognize that it was sort of a 7 or 8 on the scale. It wasn't perfect by any stretch. But speaking of negativity, Dan, X Defiant season 1 starts next month, so they had a cool trailer about that.
Awesome.
Yep.
I can't wait.
But to their credit, they didn't spend a ton of time on that or on Skull and Bones, which are their 2 live service games that they're actively supporting. And but they did talk about them, about how they have seasons that are moving forward, and they gave a little preview of the content to expect for folks who are playing those games.
I'm curious how Skull and Bones is doing, like just numbers wise, because of just how long that took to come out. Like, is it doing decent? Like, I'm so curious. So
I'm not
curious.
sure. I did really enjoy the kind of beta. I thought it was surprisingly fun. But when it came down to it, it's just not something I wanted to invest a lot of time in, because it is the live service game. It's it's almost like live service games are almost like today's version of MMOs, where MMOs were everywhere back in the early 2000s.
Right.
And so there still are MMOs, of course, but live service has kind of edged its way into that same realm where it's like, oh, this is my game that I subscribe to now, and this is the only thing I play. Yeah. And so I just didn't want to invest time. Like, I still think of it now like an MMO, but their seasons sound cool. They have one coming out where there's going to be a megalodon you can fight against, a new maneuverable ship, these boat race events they're adding, fleet management where you can have your fleet that you can oversee, and then they even teased that's season 2 that's coming up soon, or that's out now, I think, and they teased season 3 that's in the works called Dragon's Wake, some kind of flying dragon sea monster that you'll be fighting. So that's great. I'm glad they're supporting it. I hope it's doing well. To me, Skull and Bones, the most benefit it has offered me is the fun jokes about how long it took to make. Other than that, not a lot of strong feelings about that one either. Same with Crew Motorfest. I think people that's like a sneaky good game now. I could be wrong. But I feel like it's a sneaky good game. It's in their 2nd year of content. So
yeah. I didn't even know that I was like, oh,
I think people are liking it, but I don't know a lot about it.
I know that it's got some story content. It's got more of that coming out in November as well. So Kyle did mention that he's playing it and really enjoying it. It's, again, so I was wrong. I misspoke. It's not 2. There's at least 3 major live service games, and this is one of them too. The Crew Motorfest.
Sure. All under Ubisoft. So many live service games.
They're making some monies, and I think they'll make even more money on November 15th when Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out. So of course we got the reveal. What was it, like a couple weeks ago? We got the official trailer before they showed more of a deep dive this weekend. I think it was a few weeks back.
Yep. I think so. Yeah, it was a few weeks.
That was the initial reveal.
Now, if you don't believe me, go and check it. But Ubisoft does Assassin's Creed trailers right. Like, go back and watch some of the reveal trailers for these games. They're so good. They always do a really good job with these things. So I thought the reveal trailer was super cool, very well shot, really well directed. Maybe some people don't like the choice of characters, whatever. It doesn't matter. It was really well done, high production quality for sure. But the big question mark was, how does it look and feel to play? And so we got to see it in action. And not only does it look absolutely gorgeous, I mean, like, it looks really pretty. And who knows if that's running on a system that no one can afford to have.
Sure.
Like, is that actually how it's going to look on consoles and so on? But I thought it looked really cool. And I thought they gave us a really good idea of the difference between these 2 characters, where you've got this huge brute who's insanely strong, who just powers his way through enemies. And then you have this ninja character who can just run alongside walls and scamper across the roofs, throwing
traditional assassin type.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting merging of those 2, because Valhalla was very much more brute. Like, you did some stuff, but you were just dual axing your way through everything, basically. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that and Odyssey felt very not assassin-y type games.
It still had the assassin stuff in there, where like I did both those games where I silent, do stealth like a whole fortress, but very easy to just go in, guns blazing, like you said, dual axe, and you know, it definitely wasn't the focus of those games.
Yeah, they gave you like 5 different buttons that were like smash this and you'll hurt everyone around you and they'll go flying. Like they wanted you to jump into the fray, I think.
Yep. No, definitely there was one skill tree for assassinations and then like 20 skill trees, you know, like melee action combat. So it was very obvious what they wanted you to use.
It was weird that they had to pull out the AK-47. I was like, that's not what Vikings.
Sure, yeah.
I know that was very weird and greasy.
Dual wielding AKs felt weird.
Yeah, it really did.
But I like that they're doing that here, though, where they're splitting it as 2 individuals. And
you know, and the last time they really tried to do this, it seemed like it was Assassin's Creed Syndicate, where they had was it Jake and Evie or something like that?
The brother-sister pair.
Yeah, right? Brother-sister. But like, you know, she was a little different being a female character, but essentially they played the same. You know, if you were playing the same character, it was just a male version or a female version. So it wasn't like just like it wasn't a huge difference, but you know, you were actually playing both characters in a story, whereas like Odyssey, you played either the male or female, and you know, same with like Valheim. So it's nice that you're gonna have like the 2 characters that you play simultaneously through the story again, but this time it seems like vastly different play styles, and it's really going to set up those experiences for some like unique situations and keep the story and campaign hopefully fresh and you know, fluid all the way through.
I have a feeling we're going to like both these characters a lot when we get into this story. Yeah.
And it's cool for like when you're going, because what they showed, the slice that they showed us, like she's going into that castle, like, you know, sort of whatever you want to call it, and it gives you literally the option. They're standing side by side and you choose who you want. So if you want to go in guns blazing, you choose Yusuke, you know, and if you want to go in all quiet, you choose shoot, what the hell's her name? It starts with an N.
Naoe.
Naoe.
N-A-O-E. I don't know how to say
good on you guys. I don't know either of their names.
Yet, but, it's like I know it starts with an N. I just keep forgetting how to pronounce it because it's very Japanese.
Naoe. I don't know.
But I definitely like that it gives you that clear choice. You know, how are you going to approach this?
Yeah. And it's definitely the best it's ever. Like the Assassin's gameplay, specifically her gameplay, like it looked really like it looks different. Like,
and they're bringing in Splinter Cell a little bit into this. You know, they're not going to give us new Splinter Cell game, but you can play in the shadows.
That's right, man.
Take out those light sources. So like you do have this shadow stealth system that we really haven't seen in a game since Splinter Cell. So I'm so excited for it.
That's true.
I think it looks so much fun.
Yeah,
they haven't done that in the Assassin's games, have they?
No, they've never done like a darkness like hidden thing. Like they've done like a blending, you know, where you blend into crowds and environments and stuff like that. But never really like a hide in the shadows type system. So I'm pretty excited for that. I think it's gonna bring a new layer to the stealth gameplay a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember playing, and I know it wasn't all the Splinter Cells, but specifically it was just, I thought for that generation of games, for Chaos Theory, it was so well executed with like hiding in the shadows and crawling around up above everybody, staying out of the light. Oh, so good. And so I like that it kind of gives, of course, multiple meaning to the word shadows. It actually is a gameplay feature. As well as clearly part of the story. It's in the line in the trailer where he says we work in the shadows or hide in the shadows, whatever he says, which is funny because he's wearing this bright gold loud armor. He's like,
well, that's what's annoying
a big
about
black
all these
guy in Japan.
He looks like an NBA
he kind of sticks out.
Or in the shadows.
Well, that's what's annoying about these morons on the internet. It's just like, oh, so like, you just how do you sneak around in this armor? It's like, are you not paying attention to the gameplay?
Yeah, he's like, not the sneak around type.
No,
so
like you guys are just fueling your bullshit, you know.
Yep. Yeah, she'll be able to just like Solid Snake her way through and camouflage and sneak through, and then he'll just be hiding behind a big old tree to step out and use that. What is that club weapon he had? That thing.
I don't know, man, but I want to bash some skulls with that.
And a sword too.
Like he just bashes on people with that. That looks amazing.
Club looks so cool.
Oh, like it's crunchy. Like that's gonna be fun to smack a brother with. Like
certainly crunchy.
Yep. Yeah, so I thought it looked really good. Of course, the visuals look great. I think it's going to have a pretty compelling story. It seems like an interesting pairing between, you know, when you think back to stories that we've heard in this setting, it's usually one of two things. You're going to have someone who had some horrible tragedy to their village or family or something, which seems to be the Naoe side of things, and then or you have a fish out of water, Last Samurai, Shogun, whatever, someone who doesn't belong, but they're trying to make their way in this, and a lot of times on movies and TV, they are the character that you, the viewer, as a non-Japanese person, and you're kind of relating with them as they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And so you've got both of those here. You've got a fish out of water character in Yasuke, and you've got a character who is Japanese, born and raised, but clearly some tragedy strikes in her life. And so you have a little bit of both. So it's an interesting pairing. I'm here for it, man. I love the setup.
Yeah, you're getting two different angles. Yep. Two different people, two different situations.
And I could be wrong. Like maybe by the time Yasuke is there, maybe he no longer is at all a fish out of water. That's just historically, I know that he was, that he definitely was. So anyway.
Yeah.
Very interested in seeing how this all plays out. I can't wait for that. November 15th.
Yeah, buddy.
Nice to have a big holiday game that I'm really hyped for. I usually do, but there are some years where it's less than others. But this year, man, yeah. This year.
It's just nice to know some things are starting to fill out the fall, because we were kind of like, are we getting anything this fall? Like, what's going on?
A lot of third-party stuff helping to fill out the fall, where you got multi-platform releases throughout the fall. But then I'll tell you what, if Xbox can deliver Indiana Jones and Avowed this fall,
it'll be interesting to see where they sneak those in if they do both hit in 24. Because they got Call of Duty the end of October right now, so I mean, there's a 2-week gap between that and Assassin's Creed, and
one of those has got a bump then, right? Don't you think? Like Indiana Jones, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. I honestly think something's got to fall back, but you're gonna have to try to get one game out probably, early part of October at the earliest, and then another game, mid to late November, early December. It's gonna be weird timing, I think.
I think so too, and it'll be interesting to see if Dragon Age Veilguard also makes it out this year. I know it keeps saying 2024, and I think a lot of us were like, I don't know.
Not an actual date on it yet, though, either, right?
An actual date
right now, it's just fall 2024. And you know what? I'm willing it into existence. It's not going anywhere. It's staying in 2024. All right, damn it.
It's all right. I like the optimism.
Sure.
I like the optimism.
Sure.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know.
It's happening. It's happening. Listen, we've waited like 6 years for this thing.
Yeah. We have. And so there's been lots of teaser images that have come out. It seems like the game had some development struggles, to say the least. That's probably a pretty nice way to put it. But I thought and I said this earlier, and I'm truly not trying to like troll or like get anyone riled up. I actually did think that trailer was bad, the one that we saw on Sunday.
That seems to be the consensus. That it was a vibe.
Yeah, no, and it seems like that's kind of what everybody's saying about it. And I just gotta say, I was completely like whatever with it. Like, it didn't bother me one way or the other. I'm not a big Dragon Age person, but what it conveyed to me was like a completely different art style that they were going through. It just kind of seemed like it was like a trailer for a hero shooter game rather than like a medieval fantasy RPG. So that I definitely can understand where people had issues with, but if it was really just announcing the art style, and I don't know, I was okay with it because I don't know, to me, I knew what kind of game Dragon Age is going to be. I know it's not a hero shooter, like it was poorly presenting itself, but I like the idea of the characters, the art style, getting a quick quip on all of them. I was fine with the trailer.
I just thought that if it didn't have the name Dragon Age on it, all of us would have been like, is this a mobile game or a free-to-play live service? It's one of those two.
You want to know, and I think that the thing that helped dramatically with that trailer is not too long before they did the actual gameplay thing, they did a teaser of what the gameplay was going to be. It was like a quick 10-15 seconds or whatever that literally showed the first part of what they were going to show for the gameplay reveal. And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, totally dig it, totally get this art style. If it's like Dragon Age Inquisition in this art style, I'm on board. I thought it looked good.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the art style, but I think when you have Marvel-like or Joss Whedon-like quips and banter happening, everything's really lighthearted, and they're like,
right.
as Kyle or Jeff would say, like the characters are talking, they go, "He's right behind me, isn't he?" Ah! Like it had that vibe of like being cheesy and like tongue in cheek. And
this is why I've said, like, with certain trailers, I'm like, just use the in-game soundtrack. I don't know why you're putting
the
this.
music choice wasn't good. The paint splashing with their names.
Yeah, no, that's where I was like hero shooter, like
like honestly, I saw this in Concord as being like the same exact types of trailers. I was like,
okay, yep.
Like they had the same exact vibes.
Just some young 20-something-year-old marketing kid is just like, yeah, let's do this all like hip and cool, no cap for real feel. Like
that's exactly what it was. I mean,
it had just this dumb youthful energy. I know I sound like an 80-year-old man right now, but like it just had this dumb energy about it.
That's so different than usual, Dan. I don't know.
You're pretty on with it though. I think that's exactly what went down.
And it doesn't help too that, like, again, like Tim, you said, the tumultuous development here, like pretty early on there were murmurings of this being a game as a service, so it was like, oh no, like don't do that to Dragon Age. So I think there was skepticism with that sort of thing.
Yep, I totally agree. But let's turn the page from the negativity to the positivity. We did see, to their credit, a ton of gameplay, and I didn't watch all of it because, again, I'm not a big Dragon Age guy myself. I appreciate what those games do, and I know that I've been told by people who know my gaming style that I would enjoy them if I'd give them time. I think I'm struggling a little bit with the Daniel Freitas approach to games, where I'm like, I feel like I should go back and play the originals, though, if I'm going to play the new ones. Sure. I don't know if I want to do that right now.
I think the first two would be, especially the first one, it is pretty jank.
Yeah.
So I think you might maybe like, oh, I don't know, like maybe on PC it would be okay because it's kind of like clicking around more as opposed to like actiony. But
okay.
I don't know. I didn't play much of the first two, and I jumped in pretty hard on Dragon Age Inquisition. And if you haven't had much with the series, I would just go to Inquisition, and you'll be all right.
Yeah. So I didn't have any super strong opinions about like what it should look like, or am I going to watch an hour? I probably ended up watching more than I expected. I'm going to say like maybe 20 minutes or so of the gameplay I ended up watching. They talked about the character creation and all that kind of stuff. And then they showed what felt to me like the opening hour of the game. And I think they skipped some things. They kept saying like, we're skipping this for spoilers or whatever.
Right.
But they jumped, at least I think this trailer they did that. Maybe that was a different game. But anyway, they jumped around a bit, I think, if I remember.
Yeah, correctly. It definitely had a early go energy about it.
But man, I thought it worked. I think it has all the things that I would want from kind of this. It almost feels like one of those League of Legends spin-off stories. And I mean that in a positive, like the Arcanes and the Ruined King and all their really cool, the Mage Seeker. They spun off some really cool stories in their lore. This looked and felt to me like a spin-off of a League of Legends lore. And I just say that because of the technology and the bright colors and the art style just reminded me of that. And I mean that as a compliment.
Reminded me a little Arcane a little bit.
It did. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, kind of had an Arcane vibe. But yeah, I thought the dialogue was good and well delivered. The voice acting was really good. I thought overall I had very positive things to take away from the preview. The combat looks like it could be really fun. It's one of those kinds of combat that it looks responsive and fast, and as long as it feels that way, it's going to be great to play, What do you think about the combat based on your experience with these games, based on what you saw? Was it kind of what you were wanting?
I wasn't going into it with any sort of particular need, because like the thing with the Dragon Age games, and I'm seeing all these purists talk about like, oh, I can't believe they're bastardizing this. It's like you we're always given the option of approaching it from the tactical, point of view. Like you can kind of stop things and like kind of dictate some stuff and kind of issue some commands and things, or you can just go in and just have things be real time. So it's like it's really not that far removed from just like having everything happening in real time. You're just more interacting with the combat because it is definitely more actiony now. But he's still like, your character is still like in the trailer they show at least a couple of times, pull up, the game stops, and there's like abilities that you can kind of pick and choose from, and as opposed to just your basic attacks. So I mean, it just feels like a faster, more fluid evolution of what was there before. Does it suck that the tactical element isn't there? I mean, to some people, sure, and
is
that's
it actually truly not going to be there, or they just didn't show it? You think?
I was going back and forth with Kyle because I haven't seen like a confirmation that isn't the case, but I think they've basically said like, yeah, this is definitely going to be more action RPG and not getting into the tactical elements. But again, it's always been like both of those options are there, and they just went down one road this time, and it is what it is. It looks fun to me, and there's supposed to be. So there's an account on Twitter that like kind of like these accounts out there that like gets information from interviews and stuff. I was trying to pull up the one that I dropped in the chat where the skill tree is going to be pretty vast.
Okay.
So it's going to have definitely depth as far as, because people were like, oh man, like what is this like nonsense with like one or two abilities? It's like, well, it's early on in the game, guys. They're not showing you like middle of the game 50 hours in like all the abilities. There's going to be a pretty vast skill tree, so there's definitely going to be a lot of depth there and customizing your character. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of those elements, the RPG elements that has been in the series.
Did you already say this too, that party size is down to 3 from 4? Sounds like that's confirmed.
Not seeing that. Well, this is a lot of bullet points here, but
yeah, I think so. The party size, is that correct? That in previous games you had a party of 4? Does that sound right?
I think so.
So it sounds like your active party is down to 3.
Yeah.
The combat or the action centers around dodging, countering, using risk reward charge attacks designed to break their armor layers. Much of the strategy lives in the ability wheel, which stops the action either by tapping or holding the shoulder button and allows you to issue orders as you see fit.
Mm-hmm.
So there is an ability wheel that you pull up mid-combat.
Right.
So that's gonna is that a little more Mass Effect, you think? Like, and
yeah, because it pulls up and it's a little, it's kind of like taking up a decent amount of the screen, and you're just kind of choosing like like this little extra like stronger ability to unleash that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just trying to like skim through this. I do like, and actually similar to another game that I'm sure I did. We brought up last time, Life is Strange. You can customize your Inquisitor from Dragon Age Inquisition. So it's giving you the option to sort of like, since you're not transferring the data over, right? You're kind of pre-setting up stuff that you want from the last game, which is cool. And you're actually, so it's saying you can customize them in a character creator and make a few key decisions that will impact how the Veilguard begins.
Can you carry over your save if you played the previous one?
It doesn't. That doesn't seem to be the case. I would guess not. But I like that element because they're doing that with Life is Strange as well. Like you're going to be able to basically be like, hey, that first Life is Strange, like you get to choose carrying into this game what you decided at the end of that game, and I think that's rad as hell. So.
Yeah, they did that with some of the Mass Effect games. I think if you didn't play like the previous
PS3
ones,
one, right?
Yeah, like if you couldn't import your save, or if you hadn't played the previous one, they let you like make major decisions that impacted the next game.
Yeah,
gotcha. Well, they do have a character named a main side character, like a main companion named Nev, who's actually my daughter's name, Nev. So she was excited to see that. Although this isn't a game for her, I don't think. She's only 11, but still, it's cool that her name is there. We don't see her name a whole lot.
I do think it has. So I mean, I'm sure there's definitely going to be a maturity to the game. There's definitely going to be romance, romanceable.
Oh yeah, there's going to be romance, and
they said they open that up, and it's now like anyone can fall in love with anyone. They're not trying to like tell you who's whatever you. I think the idea there is you shape that. Like in a way, like if your character is a certain whatever gender, you can fall in love with any other character of any other gender, and they're not trying to tell you how things work.
Right. Because I think in past games, some of the romance options were restricted, limited. Depending on what gender you were picked or were approaching those games. And I think this one is going to kind of work however you want it to.
Yeah.
So,
totally
but as far as the combat and everything goes in this game, from what I've seen, I'm really excited by it. I've always liked the action aspects of it. I know the tactical menu, like Dan was talking about. I use a little bit in Inquisition, but for the most part, I could do without it. So it's not a big impact for me here. I'm not a Dragon Age diehard by any means. So I'm indifferent on the art style, characters, all that. But everything they showed this week, I'm in for it. It looks like a really good time, so I'm down.
They did say that some connections to Mass Effect 2. You know, Mass Effect 2 had such an epic finale because you were, recruiting and preparing for this big showdown, and the things that you did or didn't do really either paid off or hurt you at the end, And they said there could be some similar stuff here. They didn't really say what, but there's some similarities there. And they were asked about featuring permadeath. Will you lose some characters? And they said, not going to spoil anything, but you might lose some characters just depending on decisions that you make and how things go. So you could lose people along the way. So yeah, it sounds like a BioWare game. Like as they're talking more and more about it, it sounds like a BioWare game. One of the cool things that I liked that he said, because they were asking about the linearity of it. How linear is this going to be? Because after watching the opening gameplay, it's hard to say. Does it like really open up afterwards, or what's the experience like? So the quote is, so this is from the director. Sorry, I missed the name of the person. Bush. Does that name sound right?
Bush. Is it President Bush?
President Bush. Yeah, George W. No, it's director Corinne Bush. So not even close to George, and it's spelled with an E at the end. Anyway, she was asked about the linearity, and she said, so it's a mission-based game. Everything is hand-touched, handcrafted, highly curated. We believe that's how we get the best narrative, best moment-to-moment experiences. There are, along the way, these levels that we go to do open up, and some have more exploration than others. So like you said, Dan, open areas.
Sure.
So that's clearly
That's kind of how Inquisition was.
Alternate branching paths, mysteries, secrets, optional content, side missions, all that stuff's going to be there. So
perfect. I liked the approach in Inquisition. I liked those open areas. Obviously, as we've jokingly talked about Star Wars compared to Dragon Age Inquisition. But I did really like that approach in Inquisition compared to 2 and the first one. It felt like it was like a good evolution of like opening up the series as it went along, but it wasn't just like here's like this massive open world, like just a bunch of emptiness, So I did like that approach, and if it's something akin to that,
that's kind of what I'm hoping for, is like you kind of see something like that again, because I thought, like you said, I mean there was plenty to explore, plenty of secrets to find, but it wasn't like this massive sprawling world. It was more sectioned off.
Just real quick, I wanted to circle back around to the skill thing, because this was what I was looking for that I had read, which I was like, oh, that's interesting. So the skill tree web is similar to Final Fantasy X's Sphere Grid, which I freaking love that. Players start in the center and work outwards towards specializations they want. So that. I think that's exciting. I love that. So.
No, that sounds good. Yeah, I do like that
really
upgrade system.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so Dragon Age the Veilguard, I understand the skepticism because I was right there with anybody else who saw that first trailer. But now I think if you're still acting as if it's not going to be a Dragon Age experience, you're not paying attention. You just want to be mad. So like pay attention, look at the details, read the quotes, watch the gameplay. What we've got is an incredibly intriguing, deep narrative RPG with all the things you want from BioWare games. That's how it's looking. Even if it didn't necessarily present that way at the jump, I think that's what it is.
Sometimes things change, and that's okay, everybody.
And sometimes marketing and actual development aren't aligned.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Sometimes it's just bad marketing, people.
Yeah. That happened with movies sometimes, too. You'll see a trailer and go, what? And then you see the movie, you're like, well, that was way better than that. Or vice versa, right? The trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. So it's probably more common, actually, that way. So, yeah, hey, what were some of your favorite things? Thinking not just of Ubisoft or Dragon Age, maybe those were your favorite things, but what were for you two guys of all the things that we heard about over the last, now it's been like 9 days. What are some of the things that jump out at you that you were pumped about, that you really enjoyed? Was there a presentation that jumped out at you that you thought was really good? Yeah, what were some of the things that you liked? I'll kick it off real quick so you guys can think for a sec. So I of course really liked the Ubisoft Forward. Those weren't really new reveals, right? With Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws.
No.
But I still really love the deep dive in the gameplay. It just helps me feel like I'm making a much more educated decision about not only what to buy or pre-order, but just what to be excited about and what to plan on buying. Like when you show me real gameplay and describe the game in detail like that, I love it. I think it's great. So
yeah. It's my favorite kind of trailer.
I loved those things, but they weren't really new. So yeah, what jumped out to you guys, whether it was new or not? What did you like seeing?
Hey Dan, you can contribute.
All right. I guess you know, the Xbox showcase was probably like the best thing that I saw. Just as far as like a whole package, just start to finish, it was a really fun time, and some of the reveals there were really cool. So I really like seeing Joanna Dark and getting a little bit of a deep dive and a re-reveal of Perfect Dark. So that looked really good. Like that I was like pleasantly surprised by how much they showed of that there and how they revealed it. It was good to do that. I don't know if they put a date or anything on it, but you know, it's still a ways out, but with all the bad stuff you hear out of that studio and how long it's been and everything, just to see something that's competent and real, like, it was kind of exciting. I'm not even a big Perfect Dark fan, but it had all this cool stuff with Mirror's Edge, Perfect Dark, Deus Ex. I mean, like, I don't know what this game is, but like it looks like it
I hope it
looks
is
really
that.
it looks really pretty, and it looks like it's going to be fun. So like that was like probably like one of the biggest highlights for me. It just looks like a real game I'm down with, and I didn't honestly think that it was going to be shown. And Fable, I didn't think Fable was going to be shown again, and with them just showing it last year, a little bit more in that. Like, honestly, I don't know what they're doing with the character. A lot of people don't like this fugly fairy tale lady they have as the protagonist, and I'm fine with that. Like, you don't have to like her. I don't particularly like her, but like, it works good for this British humor, and like, I just want like a good fairy tale and gameplay, and like, I could give an F less what this.
I think they tweaked her a bit though, right?
I maybe a little bit. Like, I would like to like a character creator, or at least be able to pick between guy or girl. But if this is who it is, I'm fine with it. It's just like the humor, the tone. Like, Fable looks like I want Fable to look like, and everything they've shown so far, as little as I'm pretty confident in how that's turning out. So
2025 on that one, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's optimistic, but we'll see if it happens. But hey, it's looking good. It's Playground. I'm pretty I've liked everything I've seen so far, so I'm optimistic on that game. But that's kind of what made the week for me. So
nice. Yeah, I'll add on to that too. The things that jumped out to me, I thought it was such a smart way to kick off their show after the very predictable Black Ops trailer, which I'm not saying was bad. If you like Call of Duty, that's great. But then they jumped into the Doom, the Dark Ages trailer, and it was so epic and so cool and just rock and roll. It was awesome. Man.
That was so badass.
I loved that. For me, the biggest, maybe not the biggest, but one of the announcements that I probably wouldn't have thought I'd be this excited about. But once I realized what they were teasing, State of Decay 3, I did get pretty pumped for that. So like State of Decay 2, I fell off of pretty quickly because it was just in a real bad shape when it launched, and I never really did go back and give it a second chance. But State of Decay 1, I spent dozens and dozens and dozens of hours playing that game. I loved the first one. It was so fun. Oh, even with all this jank, I just thought it was such a fun game. So I was very surprised, but also very excited to see that a third one is going to be.
The second one's pretty fun. That was actually one of the first things I like dabbled in when I got the Xbox. I was like, oh, because this is only on Xbox.
I've heard it's only improved, right? Since
let me give it a try. And I played that probably for a good like 10, 15 hours. Like I actually thought it was really fun.
Yep. One other one that I'll highlight. Oh, I did think the gameplay of South of Midnight and the style and the location looked really cool. So I'm intrigued by South of Midnight. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, of course, looks amazing. It looks it's one of the only times I've seen a studio that's not Capcom give a real remake some love, and like it just looks so nice. So
it's weird how it looks like how you remember it looking, but just like completely modern and new. Like like I love that re-reveal. So
it looks good, really
very good, very good.
And I was just so pumped with the way that they revealed Gears of War E-Day. I thought that was really well done. It was raw and gritty, and bringing back the Mad World song that they used for the original Gears reveal, and just, dude.
Did you guys guess that it was Marcus right away? Like, it literally took me to the end of the trailer to realize it was Marcus. I thought it was
his
JD
cogs fell out of the neck. It fell.
Yeah, I saw that, and I thought it said Phoenix. I didn't know if it said Marcus on it or Phoenix. Like, I had a hard time reading it.
Oh,
so
if it was like another family member or something like that.
Yeah, if you got, I thought it was JD. Like I
Yeah.
was like, no, like I didn't know what the heck was going on, but so cool. Yeah,
But yeah, it was interesting too because like he was struggling against this thing that he kills hundreds of.
Yep.
And it was just interesting, like, oh, this is before that they're just easy to mow down. Like this is early. So
well, and I think like an exciting thing with this new Gears game, like they tried to really lean into the horror aspect of it, and I think they will lean a little in this because they will be like you know, how do you make this thing that you've killed and mowed down a million times like fierce and you know, be afraid of it. And I think they leaned into a little bit of that in the trailer, and I think that's what the game's going to try to capture.
Lean into it all the way because
like try to make them like these just like impossible things to
terrifying things coming out of the
terrifying and horror and action and I'm here for it.
So it does sound like, just so there's some clarity, they did follow up on this a little bit. They are not ending their second trilogy here. They do plan on continuing the mainline story after 5, because 5 did leave a lot of things unfinished. Like what we're doing next. Yeah. So that's still going to happen. But basically they have been wanting to tell this story for a while, and it's something they finally had a chance to circle back to. And so it's set 14 years before the original one. Wow. So yeah, this is legitimately like when things first get started. It's the story of the first Locust emergence on Sarah. You get to see how an ill-prepared world responds to a threat like the Locust.
Yeah.
So, and they're trying to recast the Locust not simply as foes, but as living nightmares. So I think you're right, Dan. I think they're going to lean back into like the horror element.
I freaking love that.
Yeah.
I love
that.
I think it kind of opens up that way, right?
Yeah. And then Unreal 5, I mean, Coalition, like this game's going to look bonkers and like that horror aspect.
Well, the first one was the showcase, right? For the
of Unreal Engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be gorgeous. And the first one especially, I think all of them have had little moments here and there, but the first one certainly had entire sections that were very horror-like with the lighting and how you didn't know what was happening and the sound. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with this one as well. I'm with you. So, yeah, that's pretty exciting. Dan, what jumped out to you? Dan Freitas, what jumped out to you?
Let's rewind. Let's go backwards here. Let's go
do
backwards.
That. Yeah.
So Dragon Age, the fact that like it exists, we've seen stuff.
Yep.
It's coming out this fall, guys. Okay, it's coming out this fall.
Okay, like your optimism.
Okay.
We'll see. I like it.
That was very Curb. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I love that. Like it's like an actual real thing. Like finally it's real and it's here. So whether it does come out in the fall or not, whatever, it actually is a thing. And I am excited to play that. So, yeah, Ubisoft showing us, like you said, Assassin's Creed looks great. Yeah, and Outlaws looks really fun. That looks like a lot of fun. I like just the very, almost like Fallout, like kind of like web of like the choices you're making that's just going to be like all over the place. Like, yeah, like whoever you're siding with against whatever. And that's going to be like bringing you down different paths in that game, which, like you said, you're a smuggler, right? So you're going to be you deal with all sorts of shady people and shady dealings. So I think that kind of element in a story, breaking up branching out the storyline like that is pretty important. So I do dig that.
Yep.
You know what? I want to give Summer Games Fest some love. There were some indie games in there that I'm actually, as the Gris or Grease, however you want to pronounce it, that game, their Neva game, like
Neva,
dude, that game looks unbelievably beautiful. Like, are you kidding me? Like, holy shit! And there's gonna be combat in it, so it's like Grease with combat. Like, that looks amazing. Like the music just hit me right in the feels.
Great.
What was it? Dear and Boy.
Yeah.
Looks like it's gonna make me sob potentially. I mean,
what was
Kyle,
it that either you or Kyle said, like, you're gonna have to strangle that deer at the end, aren't you?
I was like, damn it, Kyle. God damn it. No. At least give me the option. And I refuse,
I hope not.
and then the deer kills me. Whatever. Just let the deer
Oh,
kill me.
man.
Press X to strangle. You're like, what are you making me do?
No, don't do that.
No.
No, I think it's gonna be very sweet. It might be like who knows how it's gonna end, but it's gonna be very like you can tell. It's
it'll be
it's a first time project for that studio, which is cool.
Yeah, great vibes. They definitely presentation wise, it looks like it.
I wonder if any of them have done like animated movies because it just has a strong like Pixar, DreamWorks like movie look.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know what they've done before. One of the most anticipated for me is Metaphor ReFantazio. At the Atlas game. That looks just unbelievable. Like the art of that game just looks absurd, just completely absurd. It's
looks beautiful. The music sounds so good.
The music is absurd. Just the quirkiness of them taking their formula into fantasy, but like adding all these little extra things that just they haven't done before in their other games because this is a fantasy game, so you can kind of a little bit of more wacky stuff. It just looks unbelievable. So I'm
agreed.
Excited for that. But yeah.
I think Black Myth Wukong is looking really good. Dan, I'm curious if we're gonna be like, oh, this is the next great like FromSoft like. Is it gonna be that good?
I'm hoping it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
really leaning that it's going to be a hybrid of like much like Stellar Blade.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how I could be wrong, but I get a feeling it's going to be like a hybrid of like Souls elements with character action. So
yeah, I think it's going to be probably a little bit more on the Souls end of it, though. I think there will be some character action to it, but I think it's more Souls heavy than it is like combo focused.
I agree. Yeah, they also they talked more about games we've already known about. I just want to say I am still really pumped for these. I think Phantom Blade Zero looks amazing. The animations in that combat looks really cool.
Yeah, it does.
Monster Hunter Wilds looks like Capcom's literally taking their series to the next level. Like everything about it looks more pretty and like it looks like true next gen. I love Worlds. I think Rise was a good time. But this feels like now they're stepping into the next generation of technology. It feels like this just looks unbelievable. And Hyper Light Breaker is looking like a blast. The early access for that should be out later this summer. I'm very excited to try that when it's out. But guys, we have all missed the best game that was announced of the last week by far. That's Killer Bean.
Oh man,
did we though? Because we were pretty hyped
about
that. Dude, Killer Bean. It could be absolute crap, and that's always a possibility. But it has the potential to also be like ridiculously fun and stupid. It could be really
it does.
Fun. You know what the real games of the year Goaty's going to be this year? It's going to be either that or Squirrel with a Gun, Tim.
Squirrel with the Gun.
Yeah, Squirrel with a Gun could do it too.
Squirrel with the Gun. That's right.
I don't know. I was pretty. What was the name of the bean game?
Killer Bean.
Killer Bean. You know, he's got a crack on his head and on his butt. So like I mean, I was sold.
I mean, he may or may not look like a ball sack a little bit.
You know what we need as a character skin in that? We need Mr. Bean as a character skin.
Oh, please. Yes, Rowan Atkinson.
I mean, it looks so stupid. Like you jump in a car and you're shooting, then you like dive midair and you're kind of like shooting the slow like Max Payne, but like but a little bit Crackdown too, the way you're jumping in and throwing grenades. Like I don't know. I love it. I love it.
It's just fun.
It could be a lot of fun. A couple other standouts that I'll mention real quick before we move on. Like I think Slitterhead for horror fans looks like it could be a really good time. It's interesting concept. I'm not a big fan of most horror games, so we'll see. But that one looks really intriguing with the gameplay. And then if you're an arcade person, if you grew up in old school arcades, the Power Rangers Read or Rewind could be a lot of fun. Nice throwback to the Power Rangers and arcade games. So yeah. And then also I do think Mixtape looks gorgeous. I don't know if it's actually going to be a good story and really bring us along or just be a little bit of nostalgia if you like music and styles from the 90s or whatever. But it
wasn't like the same like studio that did like the Artful Escape.
I think so. Yeah, and
So
I
like
love
if you play that game, I mean, you're just playing music as you kind of progress through levels. I mean, I think it could be something like that, but like it was very story heavy and like it evoked the feels. Like, so I don't know. I think it could be fun. Like I don't think it's gonna be anything too in depth, but I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so
Fallen Feathers look. I don't know if you remember that one. Speaking of character action, that game looked very like
that Xbox.
giving. Yeah, it was
Fallen
first
Feather?
on the Xbox. It had the female lead, and that was giving me like Onimusha vibes. So if we're looking for something more character action, like fully, because they showed some gameplay, like that looks actually phenomenal.
It does.
So
yeah, that one looked really good. Yeah, so generally speaking, of Xbox, so they clearly have had a very I mean, the whole industry has had a very tough first half of the year. There's no escaping that. Every company has had their ups and downs. Feels to me like Xbox, and it could be because of the size of Microsoft and the size of their acquisitions. It's hard to say, but they have had specifically a super tough year with the layoffs. And again, it could just be because they're such a much bigger corporation that when they have layoffs and it's a certain percentage, it's going to be like 5 times as many people as most companies, but or more than that. But how did Xbox do you guys think? Did they kind of win back some goodwill and some excitement, or do you think that the shine of that's going to fade pretty quick and we're going to go back to, man, Xbox sucks again? Like, what do you guys think?
Well, I think the show was overall the best. Just the consistency of what they presented, and what was like interesting and just like fun to watch overall. It was definitely like the best show, I think. Obviously, a lot of those games are multi-platform, and that's not to take away from it at all. I'm just mentioning that because people want to look at it like, oh, Xbox they won the kick. It's like, guys, a lot of these are multi-platform, so let's keep that in mind. Yeah. But they did get these announcements, so that is still like a win for sure. That being said, I just think like the audacity though of those 3 showing up in the presentation though, like and acting like nothing was wrong.
The 3 executives
Spencer,
who are kind of the ones
Booty, and what's her face? I can't even remember
Bond.
What's her face? Yeah, just being there, like, we love the players, and we're for the players. It's like, guys, like, F off. Like, come on. Like, are you kidding me? Are you like? It's just, I don't know. It's such a multi-layered thing of like it sucks, but it's like, but also it is business, but it's also like it's grimy because you did this thing and it does kind of look like you bought these guys to get like these big games and then you let go of like the little guys. So it's just such a complicated thing. But like, this what can we do? Like what can we do other than just complaining over and over and over again, which doesn't solve anything. Yeah. So. But it sucks.
I don't know what they're supposed to do differently. Like, I'm with you that it does suck, and it was kind of like weird to see them. But also, it's like, I don't know if they could, like, what were they supposed to do differently? I'm not sure.
I think they need like a face of the presentations. They should have some kind of like person that's like, this is the face that like shows up in these presentations, and it's like, all right, we're doing the showcase, and it's not these execs that keep going on these interviews and like.
All right, so can I contradict you completely a little bit here? So I completely get where you're coming from, and everything you said, I mean, it's completely accurate. As far as the showcase goes, I don't expect Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and Sarah Bond to come out and address the layoffs and a thing like that. They're trying to celebrate these games, put together an exciting showcase. We're not going to bring it down and run it in the dirt. Phil Spencer goes on IGN, does some interview there. He addresses all the shit and everything. They're not trying to, distract from it. It is a horrible thing. It's the nature of the beast. Sometimes it's doing business. They're doing these acquisitions. They have to restructure their business to what makes sense for them, what makes them money. And I think this showcase came out and said, listen, guys, we got it under control. We got a lot of great things in the works here. We're doing what makes sense for us, what's going to get great end results for you guys. We're bringing the games, promoting games that are third party, taking first party published games, bringing them on other platforms. I mean, say whatever you want about those things not being exclusive or anything like that. They just put together a good time, said we're in a good state here. We got a lot of fun things happening on our platforms. They're going to happen on other platforms, but also be realistic. If Xbox isn't here doing what they're doing, these things aren't happening on other platforms, and then who's benefiting then? So, I think all in all, like, it sucks what's happening. It's not just happening with Xbox, like Tim said. It might just be size and scale. We're seeing larger things, but it's not just Microsoft cutting jobs, laying people off, closing studios, things of that. Embracer, Sony, everybody, maybe except Nintendo. I don't know if Nintendo's closed any studios or had any layoffs, but they do business a little differently. But it's happening with everybody right now. It's just probably, a bigger black eye for Microsoft. But I thought they did fine coming in here and having a good week, and then, still addressing what was going on, and they got a business to run. So I don't know. I'm not a business guy. I'm not here to judge it.
I think it's just like looks like worse because they did 2 huge acquisitions. I think that's what it is. Because Sony definitely, they, like you said, all of them have been doing that, and it definitely sucks. It's not more sucky that Microsoft. It all sucks. All of it.
I've been part of like large acquisitions, and like you have to realign your business. You have to, like, people that you buy and acquire and things that those studios and stuff doing might not fit the vision of the company that's acquiring them. So at the end of the day, is making sure like the business as a whole can move forward, and sometimes that's what that looks like. It's just it's the unfortunate part of how businesses work.
Yeah, very true. All right, well, I think overall it was like when it comes to Xbox, I think I feel more positively about them because of the games that were talked about. But I still don't change my stance I had a couple weeks ago. I was pretty adamant about it. I would find it hard to trust anything that leadership there says, because they said a lot and then their actions did not match up with all that. So I would love to. I think in any case you can have people redeem their trust and they can rebuild trust, and you're like, okay, that was an anomaly, and they're generally speaking trustworthy as leaders and as executives. But I think it's also fair to say, generally speaking, most executives aren't trustworthy. So it's not a surprise. It's not unique to Xbox either. It just, I've always felt like when I hear Phil Spencer talk, he feels more like one of us than any of the other executives do when they talk from any of the other companies. He feels like someone who actually plays games and likes them, and I've always kind of liked him, even when Xbox has been in a distant second or third place. I've always liked Phil Spencer, and so when stuff like this happens, you just kind of go like, but that's the opposite of what he said when Hi-Fi Rush came out and he talked about Tango GameWorks, and it was like, this is why we have companies that do games like this. And it's like, is it though? Because
I think Tango,
now you've come out and said, well, sorry guys, I got to be profitable. And I'm like, yikes, you said 2 very different things. So that's all. I think there's still
I agree.
That is hurt.
Tango's the good example, because it's like also too, like what was the space and time there of them releasing it on PS5 and them shutting them down? Like it was like a few days, right?
Yeah, it was like almost within the same week, and that example is like, it does feel pretty bad. Like that's ugly. Bad. That's a bad look.
And I hope it's a one-off thing. Like it doesn't. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm hoping they help those people at Tango absorb. Because obviously they're super talented. So I hope they kept them. Somehow employed within Xbox, but unfortunately sometimes you just can't do everything.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, one of the things that this got me doing was thinking back to older trailers, so I thought it'd be fun to revisit a couple of these with you guys. And there's a couple ways I could do this. I guess I could do separate windows so you don't see which one I'm going to go to next. Let me do that. Okay.
What are we doing here?
So I'm going to share a screen with you, and we're going to watch some old video game reveals of yore. They aren't all necessary. They're not all necessarily from like E3 days, but they're. I don't know. I'm in that mood right now where I'm like,
you're nostalgic.
Show me reveals. Show me new stuff.
Show me the 4080p quality trailers, Tim.
No, we're not going that far back. Most of these are new enough that they look good. They look
okay.
Because most of those reveal trailers, most of those were like old commercials where they would have like a live action. I didn't have time or take time to.
There's some like good like old Final Fantasy commercials like from back in the day. Like this is This is something. This is a
that'll have to be a totally different episode, but I like that idea a lot.
This is an energy.
Okay, so here we go. Here's the first one. I know you guys will. I mean, you'll see the titles. I don't know how to hide the titles when I share my window, so you'll see.
Yeah.
This first one is Dead Island, one of the best reveal trailers ever.
Yeah.
Peggy 18.
Can you hear this? Okay, it's too loud.
Yeah,
It's all right.
Yeah, probably halfway down, just so it's not too loud. But
yeah. So for those of you who are just listening, this was the original trailer, just a cinematic trailer. I know we don't always love those, but this is a work of art. So this was for Dead Island, and it starts with this dead girl laying there, and you see things start to go backwards as she had landed from falling outside of a building, and she goes back up in, and it kind of tells the whole story of her and her family clearly going on vacation together as things got overrun with zombies. So it's just really well made, and there's this music that's super moving, as you can hear in the background.
Yeah, they nailed this like right out the gate.
They really did. We won't watch all of these, but I just wanted to give you a vibe for each of these. Like, this was 2011, I think. This is 13 years ago.
It should say in the maybe description.
Oh yeah, 2011. Okay. Yeah, 2011. So, and it looks amazing. It still works today. It's still effective storytelling.
The music is perfect. Like,
yeah, I really love the music of this. This is incredible.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
This is why I complain about music in some trailers. I'm like, just do this. Just do this. Damn it. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So, of course, you see the parents being all panicked and freaked out because she's been bitten and or is dead, and then turns and attacks the dad, which is how she gets thrown out the window. But the other effective thing here is everyone's all messy and bloody and or dead, and then as this goes on, the blood starts to like disappear because it's going backwards.
Yeah, she got bit on the leg there.
Yeah, and like people are being like cleaner and
yeah, you see the blood like come off of his body there.
Yep.
I mean, this is brilliantly made. Which is funny.
Oh, this is such a good trailer. Like, I don't remember this one at all. Thank you.
So Dead Island, of course, as a game, hit or miss with a lot of folks. I think people generally thought it was fun, but it did not have the emotional weight of this trailer.
No, not this emotional weight. Like, this trailer is totally misrepresenting the emotion that story carries.
I will let this one play all the way through just because it is that good. This is one of my favorite ones. I thought it was just brilliantly done. I think I watched it 4 or 5 times when it first came out. It's so good. Yeah, and at the end, I think it shows them all taking a picture together or something. I think. Yeah. I mean, they want you to like cry about a zombie game. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are they doing to us?
And then it was just goofy and wacky and.
Yeah, you're just drop kicking zombies.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right, so that one's pretty crazy, huh? That one's pretty good. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna, let me move this into that same window. Okay, and then I'll just leave it sharing. I don't have to stop sharing every time. All right, here's another one. We won't watch the whole thing because it is a little. These can add up. We'll be here for the next hour and a half if I show all of them. But we'll watch like little clips of a few of them. I might jump around a little bit. But here is one that was a very impactful reveal. Super Mario Odyssey back in 2017. So we didn't know what this was when it first opened up. It was like New Donk City. I remember thinking, because during a Nintendo Direct, we weren't sure exactly what game it was. And you started seeing Diddy's Mart back in the corner, so I was like, oh, it's a Donkey Kong game. And then Mario pops out.
That's the volume.
Oh, is it too loud?
Yes. That's good.
And of course, this is, as it turns out, legit gameplay of this game.
Yeah, like seeing Mario like wall jumping like in a city was like, are you kidding me? Like, what's happening? Like, what's going on?
I remember thinking, is this Grand Theft Mario? Like, what are we getting here? But of course, as we learned, it was just one of many very creative, colorful levels.
I don't know about you, Tim.
Makes me want to replay this game, honestly.
This is my favorite 3D Mario game. Like,
it is easily my favorite 3D Mario.
Yeah, it's just the best one.
Like, it is absolutely amazing.
It's just too good.
And like this trailer just totally got you hyped for everything.
Oh yeah.
That was, I mean, you're just seeing all this wacky stuff that Mario could do.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it really highlighted everything his Cap could do.
Yeah.
I think they show the Cap get eyes at the end.
Yeah, I think that's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so at the end you get the eyes that pop up.
Yeah, so this didn't even really show him possessing everything that you could with the Cap. So it was limited in some of that, but it looked amazing.
This was to me, this was the time that Nintendo was, because the Switch had come out. I think it had.
Yep. Because it came out in March.
Okay, so the Switch hadn't quite come out. So this was so the Switch had been announced.
Yeah.
We knew it was coming out. We knew about Breath of the Wild already. So Mario Odyssey was announced for that fall. So 2017 was kind of like, oh, Nintendo still has it. We thought they died with the Wii U, but they are very much alive.
A Mario and Zelda release at basically at launch.
Same year. Same year. March is Zelda, and then what was it? October was Mario.
Well,
it was
speaking
amazing.
of Zelda, let's take a look at that reveal.
All right.
It was one of the most, I can't believe this is going to be a Zelda game. I don't know if you guys remember this. Like the opening.
I do. So no, very much.
The last Zelda thing you had seen was I guess Skyward Sword maybe, or we had the HD remake of Wind Waker. So there have been good Zelda games, but this was on a whole new level.
Open your eyes.
I mean, now we've seen this a bunch, right? Breath of the Wild and with Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, you're seeing the vast, distance.
Yeah, when you were seeing this the first time and the sprawling nature of this, how big the world looked, it was mind-blowing.
And it had just this nice touch of art style that was oh, this is how they're making it work on the Switch, because it's not super realistic, but yet it has this great lighting and shadow effects.
I still don't even understand how this game works.
How does this game run? And what is it? It's it's probably 5 gigabytes or something like that. How does
Tears
this
of the
game?
Kingdom even more so?
It's insane. The lighting and the art style, however those wizards did it, they made it work.
I don't know, man. It's insane.
Yeah. So of course they showed a lot of actual combat and stuff like that too, which is really cool. You got an idea what gameplay is like here.
Yeah.
So yeah, just an absolutely amazing reveal, because we all knew about. I think we had seen
Well, I thought the one you were talking about was. Maybe? I thought the one you were talking about was the initial it was like a cutscene type of thing. In-game engine, but cutscene was on a horse, right?
And it ended up being almost concept art type of a trailer. It was conceptual, right? It wasn't at all this.
Well, he's galloping on a horse, and then he pulls, and then he goes up to pulls out the bow, right? And then it's the one of the spider robot things is coming at him. So
yeah, I mean, of course, that one is absolutely amazing. And let's check out another one. This was a surprise twist on a game that we had been waiting on, especially Square fans, for a long time. And then they pulled the rug out from underneath us at the very end of this trailer, so it stuck out to me. So, so they had. I won't watch the whole trailer.
Tim, you're breaking my heart right now.
Yeah.
So we had Final Fantasy Versus 13 got a trailer, right? And so I'm gonna skip ahead here a little. So we knew the name Noctis, we saw some of this stuff. And then I'm going to fast forward to the end, because it was just this crazy moment where they show the title, Final Fantasy Versus 13. It says the legend meets its match. Yeah. But the world is ever changing for the 15th coming. And then it shatters the title and comes up Final Fantasy. I mean, even if you weren't a major Final Fantasy fan, you got chills at that moment because that was so cool. But if you were a Final Fantasy fan, you had to have your mind just blew up, right, Dan? I mean,
right now I'm feeling a wave of emotions, Tim. Because there was that trailer. Hold on, can you do you mind grabbing that one again?
Yeah, I'll pull it back up.
Because I think that's the one, the re-reveal where in the middle of the trailer, if I'm not wrong. Sorry, I didn't know that you had the.
I didn't mean to close it. Was it this one?
That's okay. So in the middle, there's a fight going on in a building. Yeah, this right here.
This quality's not super high.
It was unbelievable. So the building is like coming down, like it's getting like wrapped up in like a tornado, and you're like, what's going on in the fight? And it's like it didn't even end up in the game because and like this right here is like playing on. It's like
the Leviathan fight, of course, that was a big part of it.
but it just didn't end up being any of it. Like,
so you not only had emotions from this trailer, but also because the final game itself wasn't what you wanted.
it's just I felt we could prove it like but like yeah, it was just such like a back in like such a pull because like those initial things that they were showing us, like I felt so confident that this was going to be like a top tier Final Fantasy, and you know what, to some people it is. That's totally fine.
It looks a lot different there than what we got.
Yeah. And it's just not what we ended up, and it's
that
just
actually
a bump.
gives me more 16 vibes with just the epicness and the
exactly.
It just felt like it was.
I love 15. Don't get me wrong. I loved it.
I liked it.
That looks like a completely different game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, well, here's another pretty exciting one that now this was 7 years. No, I think 7 years before. Let me double check that before the game actually came out. Let me see. Almost 8 years before the game actually came out. So here we go. I'll move this one over so you can see it.
Oh,
Cyberpunk 2077.
It took so long to get something about this.
Yeah. So we knew that CD Projekt
revealed
2011 or no 2013. 2013. It was the beginning of 2013, and so it came out the end of 2020. So it was almost 8 years.
Yep.
Oh, it's a little loud again. Sorry, I keep forgetting to turn it down. Sorry, guys. So of course, if you're just listening, there was this like cyber lady who's kneeling in the middle of the street, and a bullet grazes her on the cheek and kind of shatters. And you see blood on the ground. You can tell you're in a cyberpunk setting with like the stores that are around, cyberware, and what the cops are wearing. And then of course you get a shot of her where you can see that her arms are clearly all like robotic, and it's just a really cool stylistic slow-mo of these bullets that are kind of like shattering against her. Against her armor, against her body.
Yeah, and then those weapons in the game turn out to not even be that amazing either. Like
I don't like the mantis claws. They look so cool though, but like they end up being like not a lot of fun to play with.
Yeah.
But she looks.
They
so
also
badass.
have these masks. So at the end, she gets recruited by them. At the end, she gets recruited by them. And then they have these masks that I don't remember at all in Cyberpunk. So these must have been removed, but these seemed to at one point.
No, they had masks like that.
They did. Okay.
Yeah, towards the end of the game, I remember some of those like government or whatever corpo.
Okay. But not our like. That's right. The agents did, but not our main character. Like those.
No,
like they
no.
Like
it was like the corpo
HUD or something. So they changed that. But anyway, I thought that was a really notable one too. All right, got a couple more real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. All right, so here's one. I believe this was the first time we got to see the Joker from Batman: Arkham Asylum.
Nice.
And of course, the brilliant Mark Hamill doing his voice.
Yes.
This trailer is from 2011. No, 2009. 2009. Because the game came out.
The Joker has been apprehended. Batman is now en route to Arkham Island.
So the game's already been announced. Sorry, guys. I keep forgetting the volume. You just gotta tell me. Just say volume.
Volume.
I think I did, but it got loud when I said it.
It was too loud, yeah. I think we had already known that this game existed.
Look at all this new security.
This is the first time we heard this voice.
How's a guy
this whole
supposed to
opening
break out
segment,
of
right?
here?
Don't be a stranger.
Makes me want to replay this game too.
Almost without a fight.
I've actually been replaying it right now.
Have you?
Yes, I'm loving this game.
Get up!
I'm about halfway through right now.
It just, it has the Metroidvania vibes, man.
Yes, I love that about it.
Let's get this party
And it's got, it's just brilliant.
I mean, Mark Hamill as Joker is just
like that. He steals the show in this game. He really does.
So good. All right, guys, I'll do one more, and then I'll stop sharing my screen here. Hang on, I lost the screen. 1 second. Shoot, I got all my windows started moving around.
Oh no.
Let me try that again. There we go. the God of War announcement for PS4. So keep in mind,
the
God of War 3 was the last thing we had heard from this series, and it was on PS3, and it was epic conclusion to that series, and that series went a little quiet. If we saw a new God of War, we thought it'd be another kind of bloody action game. No one expected this, and this is the long one, so I'll just show you the opening of it.
Remember the orchestra? Volume. Don't forget the volume.
Oh, yeah. See, thank you. Good job.
Nice job, Dan.
But the live orchestra, remember, guys? Just like
I do.
Just
that dumb hammer doesn't scare me. Oh no!
Something else, man.
So like, keep in mind when this was getting revealed, we didn't really for the most part.
Nobody knew this was God of War yet.
Well, there was the rumors
new
that
IP is what it looked
like a Viking type of God of War, right? But it was rumors. Like we didn't actually know for sure.
See, I didn't know those rumors at that point, so to me this was a shock when he came walking out of the shadows. This is the part I wanted to highlight. Was
a test.
Yep.
You see this young kid, he's playing with his toys, he's clearly in Vikings type setting. There's some deep voice talking to him from the shadows, and then he steps out right here.
I am hungry.
And I was like, oh.
And everyone was like,
when you see the red stripe, you know it's Kratos.
Yeah.
It was such a moment, dude. And this trailer's so good.
Yeah,
like,
it is so good.
Just watching like their relationship, like clearly there's like a divide there, like, but like he cares about him because he goes to reach for him with the whole deer scene, but he's like,
that classic moment. Yeah.
Tim, you're forgetting the actual best E3 trailer ever, which is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Come on, what do we do?
I know. I was gonna say like that announcement.
That was okay.
They announced that being a real thing. That is some hype right there.
The only problem with bringing up Final Fantasy VII is Dan's gonna make me pause it so he can go frame by frame and explain everything.
All right. Well, let's just move on. But I want to acknowledge that was a hype moment and one of my favorite E3 trailers.
Yeah. Well, that's the E3 of dreams, Dan. That
was the E3 of dreams. I mean, that was like that Sony presentation with that. Yeah. Honestly, like until like maybe Xbox's showcase this year, it's been a while. I like it.
Yeah, it was just so special because like also the bits of information we had gotten up to that point of like the whole CyberConnect doing the remake and like people were like, I don't know, and like the skepticism and we weren't getting any information, so it's like, is this even like real anymore? And then like that happened. I was like, oh my god. So it was.
And the game came out and ended up being amazing, so it all worked out.
Well, was it amazing though, Dan? I don't know. Was it #1 in 2020? I don't know.
Well, it was. I mean, some people think.
I don't know what else was in 2020, so I'm not making.
Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. Okay. No, sorry. Yeah, I probably wouldn't give it to Final Fantasy VII, but it ended up being a really damn good game.
Yeah.
Just maybe not the best one of 2020.
Agreed there completely. Also, Hades, I think was that year. That was a crazy year too.
Oh man. Yeah, that's tough.
Seven Remake is a miracle, all right? God damn it.
It really is.
God made
honestly, for as good as it turned out, it is.
In its own way, so is Rebirth. Like when I see the things that they did, just technologically, I'm like still blown away by what that game accomplished. Okay, so we'll wrap up our show just with some quick hits, things that we're currently playing or watching. So Dan Freitas, why don't you kick us off? What are some things that you're currently playing or watching? Are you keeping our trend alive of pretty much only playing old games? I mean, I know you and I have been doing that for like weeks now. We need to play new stuff. We know this, but it's hard sometimes.
Well, actually, I finished an old game, which is Fallout 4. I finally beat Fallout 4, guys.
Nice.
Good job. I've been replaying it, but I'm nowhere near the end.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with Fallout. I mean, you could beat it within a reasonable amount of time, or you could play 500 hours and still not have beaten it. So that's kind of, the crazy thing about Elder Scrolls and Fallout and all of those. But yeah, I had a really good time. There's definitely still so much I could do in that game. And I like barely touched the DLC. I haven't even downloaded Far Harbor, so I need to Far Harbor.
I was gonna say you got to say it correctly there.
So Far Harbor.
Yeah.
But I like started the Nuka-Cola one, and I beat the Automatron 1. I beat that one. So that one's cool because you get like a new recruitable character with that one. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
And the Nuka-Cola one's just like a unique vibe because it's like almost like a Disney World type of situation where it's like this, Nuka World's like park that's abandoned and people like kind of taking up shelter there and there's going to be stuff that happens there. So, but yeah, it's I don't know, man. I think it's weird that people don't like Fallout 4. Like I think it's a great game. I think it's a great Fallout. I think there's a lot of options there to just play around with. That's just really enjoyable. It's so fun running around in the power suit and just being an absolute badass and just like taking on everything. And yeah, the choices. So there was like a oh, okay, I wasn't actually anticipating that kind of twist towards the end of like the main story there. So I was like, oh, okay, that's actually kind of cool. And then obviously you keep making choices and you side with certain factions and certain people. So yeah, I had a really good time with it. I'm glad that I finally finished it. It's Fallout game. So
nice.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. So.
Okay, cool. Other Dan Phillips, what about you? What are some things that you've been playing or maybe something you've been watching you want to highlight?
I'm kind of behind on everything. I guess as far as I'm watching, I'll just touch quick on that. X-Men 97. Just finished that on Disney Plus. So
I just started it, so I'm even farther behind than you, but it's amazing.
Okay. Yeah, just what an incredible show. Do not skip the intro, Tim. It'll change episode to episode, week to week. And
I've been watching it while I eat lunch during work days. So when I pause to go, because I work from home. So I go start making my lunch and I just pop my headphones and I put that on. I just listen to the song while I'm throwing together my food.
The animations do change week to week too.
Well, so you'll watch it too.
You'll see a little bit. You need to watch it. But that was incredible. I was a big fan of the original. So that was great. Otherwise, what I've been playing, hard time just committing to anything right now. So I've been playing a lot of like older stuff. I did start Fallout 4. So I've been playing a little bit of that too. I've never been a big Fallout guy, so probably about like 10 to 15 hours in it right now, loving it. But I also did start Far Cry 6, so I started that over again.
That's a fun game.
Yep, so I'm enjoying that. So I'm playing that on PC this time around. So it's a little bit better experience than what I had before. Having a great time with that. Primarily
game too. Like the setting is really, it looks good.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, like the island setting and everything. So I'm having a blast with that. A little bit better time this time around. So I'm a ways into that. But primarily what I've been playing right now, and honestly, like the Xbox showcase really kicked it off, was Gears of War. So the original Gears of War trilogy, that's kind of a blind spot for me. I played the first one when the Ultimate Edition came out, but I've never played 2 or 3.
Okay.
And I don't remember the first one very much. So I'm replaying the first one right now. I'm about 3/4 of the way through that. I'm almost done with it. I just started playing it this week, and I'm going to play 2 and 3 then, because like just after seeing E-Day, I want a little more buy-in with like Marcus and Dom, and I want to see that trilogy. So I that's kind of what I'm focused on playing right now. So almost done with the first game. And then I did start Fable 2 over again. So a new playthrough of that. And it's my favorite Fable game.
Me too.
I wish it got a little more love on the Series X with all the backwards compatibility games and stuff like that. It never got the FPS boost. It runs pretty good.
You can feel it? Like, can you tell?
It's not horrible, but like the amount of motion blur in that game is like, it's like Vaseline smeared on things when it's in motion. So it's not great.
We get spoiled so much with games today, and we go back and
So it's unfortunate. It really could be polished up so easily. I wish somebody would do something with it, because it is like one of my favorite, probably like Microsoft games or Xbox 360 games at least. But I'm still having a good time playing it. It's not quite as good as, I wish it had that Fable anniversary treatment. That's all I want.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've been playing.
Man, Fable 2 was so I just have so many good memories of playing that game.
It was special. It had a dog, and like it was just great from the start. You could play fetch with the dog and pet the dog right from the go, and it just got better from there.
And I kind of want to skip the first, like not because I like
you can skip it
first one, but like I just like I know I did I started playing the anniversary. It just wasn't super grabbing me. Like it
skip to the second one.
Well, it's fine, but like the second one, like I definitely that was the first one I played. I didn't play the first one. I never had an original Xbox, and the first game I got when I got my 360 was Fable 2. And I was enthralled with it. Like I was obsessed with that game for like probably like 3-4 months. So
I played Fable 1 on a PC. I even like bought the actual physical PC copy with a disc you had to install. Like yeah.
Were you disappointed?
Fable 1. No, I liked Fable 1. I thought it was fun.
Did you? Yeah, I played the anniversary, and I played it long after I played Fable 2, probably like 5 or 6 years after I played Fable 2, and it was fine.
Yeah. I played Fable 2 after it. So to me, I got the proper like if you're gonna like story-wise, you don't need to play the first one. But I wouldn't recommend going back to the first after you play the second because it just plays so much better. What I really like is what weapon you use drops that kind of experience, and you build up experience in that thing. And I've always a very simple, straightforward system of like if you want to be stronger in guns, use your guns a lot. You'll get gun experience or whatever.
Yeah, and the interesting part of their level up tree is you'd gain experience in like melee, magic, and like dexterity or whatever, but then you'd also have like a general XP pool that you would build, and you'd get that general XP pool but then you have to couple it with the specialized category that you wanted to go into, and it was a good way to just kind of build those trees, but it was very simple but satisfying combat in those games.
Agree. Yeah, they never overcomplicated it. That's awesome. All right, so I have been. I did want to just shout out Jeff. Good recommendation on the Conan Must Go series that's on Max. So he is so friggin' funny. I love Conan O'Brien. If you don't like his sense of humor, I get it. Not for everybody, but I love his sense of humor. I think he's so funny and wacky. Like his Hot Ones episode where he eats the wings. I've watched it like 3 times and I laugh every time. It's so stupid.
I have that in my list on HBO, but I haven't watched it yet. But Jeff says good stuff.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I'm on episode 3. The first episode he goes to Norway to meet this kid who's a rapper, and then he actually sings on the bridge of a song they record, and he sings about how he's looking at the fjord. Like it's so stupid, and it's so because they're in Norway. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. But he sings it in his Conan high pitched voice, and it's just. Oh man, I kept rewinding it because I was laughing so hard at that. I don't know. And then they actually do a concert at the end of that episode, and he comes and performs with them in this little house show that they do. He does a whole Viking thing where he dresses up as a Viking called Conan the Red. I mean,
it makes sense.
Sounds good.
It's a great show. It's basically Conan was allowed to be released to the world and be Conan to everybody, and
just be himself.
He learns that you're supposed to do like the quick cheek greeting kiss, and what country were they in? Argentina or somewhere, some Latin country. I forget which country it was. And so he starts kissing everybody on the cheek, like everyone. She was like, "Yeah, it is traditional to kiss everyone goodbye when you leave a room. Everyone in the room." He goes, "Everyone in the room," and they were outside. So he's going around to everyone that he sees, kissing them goodbye.
Single person.
Yeah. It's so good. Okay. So I'm watching that, loving it. It's a good time to laugh at that kind of stuff. I'm also rewatching like the legendary monster flicks with my kids, Godzilla, King of Monsters, Kong Skull Island, and then Godzilla versus Kong is up next. I think they've already seen that one, but we're gonna watch it again. And then the new one, which is on streaming now too. So we'll watch that too. I know they get cheesier as they go, but they're still fun. They're good time.
I know it was on streaming. Oh.
I actually just watched the newest one today, and yeah, it's definitely the cheesiest of all of them. But like compared to the last Kong and Godzilla one, very very similar. So
yeah, I mean they basically like fist bumping as
don't expect much. You know, it's spectacle and kind of dumb and cheesy.
I'm surprised they didn't like dab up and do like a bro hug.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, right?
Yes.
He has the glove. Yeah, they armor a lot.
It's a little different.
By the way, Kong Skull Island might be the best of. It's such a good movie.
I think Kong Skull Island, honestly, of all of them, is absolutely the best one. With John Goodman and Tom Hiddleston. I mean, and Emily Blunt. I mean, yeah, great.
No,
cast.
it's not. It's what's her name? It's the Marvel girl.
Brie Larson.
Brie Larson. That's right.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, not Emily Blunt. But yeah, great cast. It was honestly a good story. Like, yeah, that was probably the best one of that.
You get angry Samuel L. Jackson in that one.
Oh, yeah.
He's just like ticked off.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So as far as playing, just wanted to cycle through a couple quick demos and then we'll wrap up. But with all the Steam Fest or Next Fest demos on Steam, I've been playing a bunch of demos. The notable ones that I want to recommend are Beyond Galaxyland, just for the vibe alone, the visuals alone. It's like this side-scrolling pixelated RPG. It sometimes gives me Sierra vibes, and sometimes it's just its own thing. It's really interesting. And they really limit what you can do in the demo, so I don't know how much exploration, but it looks like you can actually control your ship to explore different planets. And then you do this kind of side-scrolling thing where you can take pictures of creatures, or you can fight them. And the combat is sometimes a little bit of action mixed in, but it's mostly turn-based. It's an interesting game.
What is the name of that again?
Beyond Galaxyland. It's got a great thumbnail too. Like, it's just really good art design for this one. So yeah, Beyond Galaxyland is really cool. If you want something totally cozy and not even a little bit stressful, try out this game called Tiny Glade. The demo's super limited, but you can tell that basically you can build your own little diorama castle, and you just like click and drag. It almost feels like a tech demo for like a development kit or something, because you just drag and create your little walls and your windows, and you decorate and you make little paths through your castle, and you place buildings, and like it's like a little diorama. It's not a huge area that you're covering. I don't know how big. Maybe you can make it pretty outside the demo. Maybe it gets much larger, but super charming, cute little, almost tech demo-y, cozy little experience called Tiny Glade. That one's interesting. And then I played this game a little bit called Aska, Aska, Aska.
I went to download that, or maybe I did download it, but it was like a timed demo. Was it timed? I think
it was for a while. They took it off, and they just now added it back for Next Fest.
Oh, okay.
The game launches, I think, next week, so they put the demo back up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's good. I mean, I played it because it's strong similarities to Valheim, where it's kind of a Viking world and it's a survival RPG. It just is real janky. I mean, so many survival games that you play that are indie devs, there's just so much jank to it. Like, the movement's not quite right, the detection isn't quite right, collecting materials can be a headache, and it makes you appreciate the ones that do it really well. Like, I guess I just don't realize sometimes how well made Valheim is, because there's all these frustrations I have with survival games like this one, or like Sons of the Forest, that I know they're good games, and Rust and all these other games that people love, I usually just lose me. So this one, to me, it's got some cool stuff, but it's very unintuitive at times, and so it's interesting. I think it looks really interesting. I think there's some cool things happening, but I just played through to the first invasion of my camp, which was really easy to fend off. I had made a couple crude weapons by then. It was fine. They don't overwhelm me with difficulty, but yeah, I think I was just tired of keeping an eye on my water and food meter.
It looks great. It
looks really cool.
And it looks nice.
Yeah. So it's I recommend trying out the demo. It's one of those ones that I still might end up buying and kind of just playing with for a little bit. I also like supporting devs like this too. Like, you could tell they've put a lot of effort into it. It's just
and it's in early access, so it at least it's that. It's not like it's just like, oh, this game is done and it's out, and it's like, oh, but a lot of jank, So
yeah, I mean, the idea is pretty much what you expect, where it's like, you're this character who's thrown into this situation. There's a shipwreck, and now you have to just survive. And you start gathering mushrooms to eat and berries to eat and basic twigs and rocks to build your rudimentary stuff. And you just got to progress from there. But there are sometimes these games can be, I think, needlessly punishing. And I looked it up. Apparently, you don't really get a good method of healing till much later. So if you get hit, you can sleep, and your health gauge goes up a tiny bit if you sleep all night. But my health was at a third for most of my playthrough, because I got hit at the very beginning.
That's
oh man.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
that felt a little
rough.
weirdly punishing. I was like, what? Give me a potion or something that heals me. Or
this is why Valheim just is the best.
It's just the best, man.
The perfect balance of all of the stuff.
Yeah. But it is pretty cool. And then last but not least, Tales of Iron 2: Whiskers of Winter. What a great title that is. But I loved the first Tales of Iron game. It's so fun, very dark and violent, picture book looking game about these rats that are fighting against these evil frogs that are invading, and a very dark fairy tale. That's, by the way, narrated by Doug Cockles, who is Geralt from The Witcher.
There you go.
And so he's got a great voice, so he's narrating it. But I loved the first Tales of Iron. I still do. I think it's an excellent game, and the DLC was great too. And so I played the opening of this. It's just the prologue of it, and it plays a lot like it. You're a new character, but just in a different area of that same world. They even reference that world a bit, but now you're going up against these like bats that have kind of come out of everyone thought they were gone and dead, and now these bats are back. So yeah, I think it's really cool. I like it a lot. And last but not least, I am playing a lot of Elden Ring, getting ready for the Shadow of the Erdtree.
Yeah, buddy.
Coming out next week. So I cannot wait. But I learned, I already kind of knew this, but I had it confirmed. My main character that's super high level and super strong, I'm already at the end of New Game Plus. And here I am thinking like, cool, I'll just hang out here till the DLC comes out. But it is confirmed that if I want to start the DLC, which is already notably more difficult, according to everyone who's played it and talked about it, do I really want a New Game Plus version? Because they will be like higher health and hit harder even in the DLC, because it's going to be new game. Like, do I really want to experience it that way? I don't know. Probably not. So I got my secondary character that I put a lot of time into. I've got this character now up over level 100 and kind of in the second half of the game. I defeated the bosses that are needed to access the DLC. So I'm set with that second one and a main playthrough, even though he's not quite as strong. But yeah, I'm having a blast going back through this thing again. It's super fun. But and I did a full magic build to take down Radahn, who was the bane of my existence on my first playthrough. I could not beat that guy. He was so tough for me. I know for some people he wasn't hard at all. But I did a full magic build and just cranked intelligence. And I literally just... There's a special crystal tier you can get that makes whatever magic you do cost no magic points for 15 seconds. So I chugged that, and then I got the strongest spell in the game, which is a ridiculous drain on your magic power. It's called the Comet Azure, and it's not really like one that you would use anytime. You shoot out this huge, I'm talking like Kamehameha style beam that just shoots out from your magic staff. And you can't direct, like once you aim it, it's stuck that direction. You can't move it. It's too powerful. You can get destroyed while casting it if you're not careful. But I just chug that magic tier, crank intelligence, and do it. And I beat Radahn just in one cast. I just held it at him and just his. This is the first time I've experienced melting the bosses that they do.
And that's the build that I used in my playthrough. I'm probably only like 3/4 of the way through the game. Like I never did finish it, but like I was a magic build. I was an astrologer, and that Comet Azure, like I cheese the shit out of that.
Yeah, it's great for bosses that don't move a ton. Radahn does move, but if you can get at the right angle when he's distracted, he just didn't really move. He was.
Which one was Radahn? Like
he's
where
the
was
big
he
guy
at?
out in the desert.
Okay, yeah. He was a pain in the ass, man.
Yes.
I hated him. I probably had to do the Comet Azure like 2 or 3 times to him. Like I couldn't get it like
disappears half of the fight. Right? He'll go up into the sky and come down as a comet. He didn't have time to. Like I Comet Azured him and he was dead. He started to roar like he was going to go up in the sky and then he died. And I just started laughing out loud. It was crazy.
No, that's good. So is that what you're going into the DLC with?
I'll switch up my build, I think, to something more melee.
I think I'm gonna start like over. I want to do like a samurai build, do a dual wield bleed build. So I think I'm gonna start over. It's probably gonna be a while before I get to the DLC. I'm not gonna get to it when it releases next week or whatever. But I think I'll build up to it and get back into that game. That's got to be one of those games you really kind of just focus in on and all you're gonna play. And I'm just not in that headspace right now.
Yeah, you do have to defeat Radahn to access it, and you have to defeat this guy in the underground area named Mog. He's got at this temple that's just all covered in blood and everything. But the DLC character is named Mikola, and that character is being held prisoner by Mog in this like weird egg thing in his temple, and his arms like hanging out of it. Like it's a real creepy scene. And when you activate that boss fight, that arm kind of falls and then blood comes off of it and creates this big pool in the ground, and the boss comes out of that blood. So it's a really cool, like FromSoft classic looking scene. It's really gross and awesome. But anyway, that arm is the one that's Mikola, who Melania was essentially like destined to defend. So like Mikola and Melania, I think, are siblings, or she defends him. I forget exactly.
Definitely a similar look there.
Yeah, he's like a blonde version of her, and he is always meant to look young. Like he's got this like curse / blessing to look young all the time. But anyway, everyone's fighting over him, and Mog like captured him because he thinks he's protecting him. He's like, anyway, it's all twisted up. But yeah, the DLC is like in Miquella's dream, or maybe it's a real world. I actually don't know. Some kind of shadow realm that you get transferred to when you go touch that hand. So you do have to get, I would say, generally speaking, like 2/3 of the way through the game ish to access the DLC. The good news is, and I had forgotten how easy it is, you can easily summon people to come in and help, and your ashes are huge.
Sure.
With all those fights. So
it's interesting though, because like if you're like, all right, I'm gonna get do you have to be like online reading about where to even find this thing? Like, how do you even stumble across it? You know, like that's what I'm curious about. Is
I wonder
that's typically how these games are.
I don't know if they'll tell you or not. They barely guide you in the main storyline of this.
Sure.
All I can say is there is a part in Bloodborne. If I did not look up a strategy guide of where to go next, there was no way I was ever gonna figure out on my own how to go to the next step of the mainline story. Like I would never figure it out on my own. So that's just how the games go.
Yep. Especially with this one, because the design of it is open world exploratory, find your own way, and that's the core gameplay mechanic. That can also be frustrating, and I totally get that. So I've used a ton of guides.
Yeah, it never hurts. Even Miyazaki said, you know, there's no wrong way to play these games, and using a guide is a completely acceptable way.
Use the ashes if you want to, or don't. Summon some other players if you want to, or don't.
Yeah, they give you the options and paths to get through these games. Strategy guides and resources like that are completely acceptable ways to do it. Some people just want to do it on their own, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yep. Yeah, there's a number of ways to get to that underground area where this temple is, but I think the second one is farther into the game and is a little more obvious. The first one is a storyline you wouldn't think you'd have to follow. It's that guy with the white mask when you first start the game, and he's standing there kind of like making fun of you for not having a maiden at the beginning. When you first walk out into the world. His name's White Mask Var or something like that. So you talk to him, and he like trash talks to you a little bit, and then kind of gives you advice. Anyway, you meet him later in the second area, and if you follow his quest line, you have to invade a couple other players, which I've done, get my butt kicked because they're usually playing with like 3 people, and I'm like, this is stupid. Like it's, but you just have to successfully invade 3 times. It doesn't matter if you die right away or not. It doesn't matter. And you continue his story. He eventually gives you an item that transports you to where this temple is. Okay. So there's a way that, again, people have to follow a guide to do that too. There's no way you would know to do all that stuff on your own quickly. Like there's just no way.
Yep.
That's how these games go for sure. Love them or hate them. That's how they go. But to be fair, the same can be true sometimes as, at least for Breath of the Wild. Tears of the Kingdom's a little more guided. But there are a lot of things in Breath of the Wild that I didn't know until I explored and upon stuff. And
it's the same thing. And you know, a lot of the guides and everything, like some of the best ones are just like, you know, do these couple things first. Like these are things that might not be obvious, and they drastically improve the experience. But like for the most part, you can still casually explore in them.
Yeah, I think the build I'll end up going with is one that includes a lot of stunning, because I don't know what enemies are going to be weak to yet in this new area. So I don't know what really to go with, but a lot of stunning.
It seems like bleed effect, just like in the main game. Like everybody, that
except for the final boss, by the way. The final boss.
I did not get to the final boss, so I do not know that. But thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, final boss doesn't even care if you make it bleed. It's like, I don't have blood.
You bleed?
Can't make me bleed my own blood because I don't have any. But anyway, all right, cool. Well, hey, listen, thanks both of you, Dans, for hanging out tonight. This is a good time, good chat. Thank you all for watching and listening. We'll see you next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know if any games are coming out between now and Star Wars, but we'll find things to talk about.
You know what we're going to talk about? More old games.
More old games. That's for sure. All right, thank you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.